And I was like, oh, Emily broke it. And then I walked back by, and there was two people from Adaptive in there. I was like, oh, she really broke it. And then Ryan comes over here. He's like, no, dude, it was a serious threat. Like,
cyber attack?
Yeah. On that computer. Yeah. Like, we had to shut it down, and they're using like different methods to try to get in. And just, ask him about it, because he was telling me in the hallway, and I almost wanted to drag him in here.
Wow.
I guess the new one is those little security tests they usually give you to make sure you're a robot.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can have viruses now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Ask him about it, dude.
All right, cool. Thanks. Fosifa. Olifa. Get my water.
Been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, this is the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com and broadcasting live on YouTube. And the Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. Call them today at 661-241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. And speak of the devil, owner-operators Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne join us at the bottom of the hour. It's a busy, busy Thursday as far as I'm concerned. We will talk about a plea deal by the CSUB assistant coach who was accused of pimping and drug possession with arms and possessing child porn. We'll tell you about that in just a second. There are 5 Senate races that could determine who holds the Senate. We'll break down each one of those states, including the Alaska situation that I had on the rundown yesterday, but I didn't talk about. This case of a man by the name of Dan J. Sullivan going up against the incumbent named Dan Sullivan. That's just one of the 6 major Senate races we'll unpack for you. And another Democratic socialist has won, this time beating a 15-term incumbent from the Democratic Party. They are in deep doo-doo. You gotta appreciate what's going on right now. The Democratic Party is coming apart at the seams. Their leaders have no idea what to do because this wave is real. It's not a sustained real because socialism isn't sustainable. But for right now, they dominate the Democratic Party or whatever you want to call it. And I mean, she beat a 15-term incumbent and it wasn't very close. It wasn't very close. You'll hear some audio from Melot Ketos. I suppose that's how she pronounced it. I never heard of this woman. M-E-L-O-T, Melo, like the wine, maybe? I don't know. I never heard of the broad. But she's a socialist, damn near communist, and she's the new Democratic, essentially, it's a Democratic seat. A congressman coming out of Colorado. We'll unpack that for you. It's an incredible story. But the story of the day, if you ask me, what's the story of the day, Chris? The most bizarre, crazy, weird. Are you kidding me? It's got to be a Florida couple story of the day.
The Florida couple's funny. It's got to be the two that climbed up the Empire State Building.
there are so many layers to this story. First of all, how do you find a woman who'll be like, yeah, I'll climb the Empire State Building?
I told Jay I think it's her idea.
A. B. How do you find a woman with the skills to climb? Doesn't matter whose idea it was. Okay, let's say it was her idea. How does she find a man who's willing to do that and who has the skills to do that? How do they mutually have the skills to climb the Empire State Building? And they didn't just climb the Empire State Building. This wasn't Sleepless in Seattle. They went to the antenna. They went to the very tip top of the Empire State Building, which I've been. You ever been to the Empire State Building?
I've not.
I don't remember it, but I've been there. But I just remember being afraid being in the elevator. That's about all I remember. Yeah, I was a little kid. We lived in New York when I think I was like 6, 7. I barely remember. But, and then he proposed. And then they went to jail. They spent their honeymoon in New York lockup. But I don't know how else to unpack the story. We just did. So we'll bring it back up, I guess. And Nick Ragone will join us. Just any excuse to get the genius on the program. And today is the commemoration of the Battle of Gettysburg. And if you've ever read, as I strongly suggest you do, if you have not, Nick Ragone's book, Presidential Leadership, 15 Decisions That Changed America, he takes 15 different chapters from 15 different administrations and highlights maybe not even the high point, but what he considered a pivotal point in their administration. For example, John Kennedy, I would have thought, Cuban Missile Crisis, the assassination, maybe the Bay of Pigs. No, he focused on Kennedy's desire to go to the moon and how he launched that and never obviously saw it come to fruition. But one, obviously, when he dealt with Lincoln, was the Gettysburg Address and the importance of the Battle of Gettysburg. So we'll talk with Ragone about that. And there's a ton of sports news. The Lakers have signed Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz. We were just saying yesterday, they got to get a rim protector. They got to get a rebounder. They got to get a big man. And they got a pretty good one. For just a couple of first-round picks in 31 and 33. And then the two teams are going to swap first-round picks in 28 and 30. But this kid averages 9.5 points a game. We don't need points from him. That's enough. But 9.3 bounds a game and 2.5 blocks a game.
Yeah, that's what you're getting.
That's what we need. A rim protector, somebody who people will fear to go into the lane. We haven't had that since Shaq. I mean, who was the last true rim protector? Anthony Davis, maybe?
Yeah, yes and no.
Yeah, because he was soft.
Andrew Bynum?
Andrew Bynum. Wow, that's going way back. Andrew Bynum. Yeah, maybe. But
I can't say pal.
I think we got better.
Yeah,
I don't think we are a contender yet. I think we still need a strong wingman. And you know what we sorely lack?
Point guard?
Defense.
Oh, yeah, no.
Defense. Because now we've committed to two of the worst defensive players in basketball. Yep. AR and Luka. And there are guards. So, I mean, imagine just the guards in the West that are going to tear those two apart.
Damian Lillard now at the same time.
God. I mean, we need some defense badly. I don't know. San Francisco is talking about moving Jimmy Butler. Although you'd have to give up a lot to get JB.
Yeah, and they're trying to do that so LeBron comes over.
Well, did you hear the news, though, today? San Francisco, the Golden State is denying. They're like, no, that ain't happening. That's what I heard on the morning show today.
Believe it when I see it.
Huh?
Believe it when I actually see it.
I mean, I don't think he helps them that much.
No, he really doesn't. He fills that Draymond spot pretty dang well.
I think his best shot is to go to Cleveland, but I don't think he's leaving Cali. He's not leaving. Let me tell you something. He ain't leaving Brentwood.
If he goes back,
he ain't leaving that Brentwood house. Have you seen that Brentwood house he lives in? First of all, Brentwood is one of the nicest communities in Los Angeles. B, if you've ever seen, the only reason I saw his house was when they allegedly put the N-word on his gate. And they showed this house is stupid. His wife loved it. His kids love it. He ain't leaving LA. His brand has blossomed way more than it ever could have in Miami or Cleveland. Or there was even talk of him maybe going to New York. Did you hear that?
Yeah, but again, I don't know if that's going to happen either. There's not a lot of salary cap movement there.
If they could fit him in, and who do you move out?
Yeah.
Well, they already got rid of Robinson.
Yeah, Robinson signed with Boston this morning.
Yeah, that was. I don't understand how you break up a championship team. I guess numbers and stuff like that. But
when Mitchell probably wants to start, and he's never been the starter there.
Yeah. Well, he can't be. He can't shoot free throws.
Yeah, no kidding.
We can't keep you in the ball game, son. If you're going to shoot 35% from the free throw line,
where Shaq?
Yeah, where they literally foul you in the fourth quarter on purpose. No, sorry, can't have you. All right, let's get started. We got lots to do. When we come back, I'll give you the situation on the former CSUB coach Kevin Mays. He pleaded, he not pled, that's not a correct verb, it pleaded no contest to several serious felony charges. He's represented by David Torres. I'll tie that into another case and illustrate how stupid it is sometimes when guilt seems almost certain, why it is stupid to take something like this to trial. You'll hear from the president on the latest on Iran, and Aaron Katursky, who used to be a guest. Aaron Katursky used to be the baddest radio reporter in radio. And when I first got here, he was kind of a regular on our show. He would come on as a guest, and smartly, some 3 or 4 or 5 years later, he got into television. And now he's one of the best investigative reporters on ABC. And he has the assignment for the 2 nitwits on top of the Empire State Building. You'll hear his package before we get out of here. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and take our first break of the day. Get started on this Thursday. As far as I'm concerned, we are dark on Friday as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of this great republic. You are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will have burritos and talk mental health with our friend Dr. Corey Gonzalez. We got a lot of stuff, all the various safety warnings and the like for your 4th of July weekend. We'll talk about the future of NAFTA and all the news traffic and whether you shake a stick at it. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
As you all learned on this very broadcast, owner-operator KC Steakhouse, Cassie Biddle, is running for the city council. So the next time you're in KC Steakhouse, give her a kind of a cheer if, in fact, you want to support her. I'm not telling you to support her for city council, but this woman has done extraordinarily well with a restaurant that's almost 80 years old. Nobody back in the 80s and the 90s could have ever imagined that Cassie Biddle, this young woman, this young, smart businesswoman, part of the planning commission, could take KC Steakhouse to an entirely different level. She's established the Stockyard next door, which has been an absolute game changer. They have a banquet room where medical facilities meet for meetings, and Kathy Abernathy uses it for election nights, and you can have dinner in there. You can enjoy the craft cocktails. They have live music. And, of course, Jimmy and Bobby are providing live music in the main restaurant Tuesday through Saturday. Where would you rather be? Great way to beat the heat. Head to F Street and enjoy KC Steakhouse, the finest steakhouse in all of Kern County and a longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon, Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly Jaylen Brown just traded to the 76ers for Paul George and 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders.
Wow.
possibly do any better
They
than
just
to
got a
reach
whole
out to
lot
Paul
better.
Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters,
That might
our
help
team
both
has
teams.
the answers. Team
So now
Paul
Paul George doesn't have
Sheldon.
to be the man. He just has to, if he can put in 18,
My name is
20
Whitney
a
Allen,
night.
and I'm a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get saved.
Did y'all beat the A's last night? Okay. Larry's on the line. That's why I asked.
I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote
Are
at
you serious?
ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You push yourself in everything you do, scanning headlines for insights, keeping an eye on the market. Robinhood puts you in control of your money, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230.
Ryan Van Alstyne join us in just a couple of minutes after the break. And then coming up at 5, we'll talk about the Battle of Gettysburg and its importance to the Civil War. And of course, the Gettysburg Address with author and overall Good Egg Champions Tour creator, Nick Ragone. You got a phone call already?
We do.
Who you got?
49 Larry.
You got to be kidding me.
Nope.
What's up, Larry?
Yep, just calling to let you know I sent my second $50 honor flight today.
$100 already in the bag.
Well, that's funny because Larry, I was just about to make an announcement that we are canceling our honor flight fundraiser in October because we're just going to continue to bet with you and you're going to fund the whole flight.
That's where my next bet with you is going to be November 11th when those creepy crawling Raiders come to Santa Clara and get beat by the 49ers.
Okay, Larry. Well, you keep on betting, Larry. But thanks for the $100 on our flight. Appreciate you. And good luck. And thank God you don't want to bet tonight. It's a good thing because we're about to sweep the A's. So you're a smart man to know when to stop, Larry. I guess he hung up. All right. Well, that's we beat them again 9-3. We beat them 9-4 the first night, 9-3 the second night. I mean, we're playing in a minor league field with the first team to get to 50 wins, the team with the best record. Roblisky now leads the National League. He was tied last night for the National League lead in wins. Now he leads the National League. He's definitely going to an all-star game. You know who made a finalist as an all-star?
Who's that now?
Mookie Betts. Like, of late, because he's hitting like 240 now from like 180, so it means over the last 10, 15 games, he's been hitting like 350. But doesn't it mean the whole entire front half? I bet there are a lot of, what's Trey Turner hitting these days? What
He's not having a great year.
No?
I mean, he's having a solid year, but not like what he should be having.
You cannot go to the All-Star game hitting, how many games we got left? Maybe 10, 15?
Something like that, yeah.
So let's say he gets it up to 250. He's hitting like 235, 240. Let's say he gets up 250, 260. You can't go to the All-Star game as a shortstop hitting 260. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're right. But
that's not All-Star numbers.
It's the popularity contest part of it.
And the fact that you're in one of the largest markets and one of the most popular teams that just won 2 back-to-back championships. Yeah.
Oh, and again, outside of Trey Turner, can you really name any other shortstop in the NL too besides Mookie?
What's the kid for Cincinnati? How's he doing?
Oh, De La Cruz? I have no idea. I haven't looked at his stats this year.
I got to assume somebody's hitting over 240. Good Google it.
So I'm saying I need to look at the entire list of shortstops.
Max Muncy's going to make it for certain. Roblisky's going to make it for certain. I think Freddie's going to make it for certain.
Joey's already in.
I think Paez is going to make it. And that's about it. I think Teo could have made it had he not missed so many games because he's been, ever since he came back, he's been doing wonders. And Tommy Edman is hitting the crap out of the ball since he came back. I mean, we are just so deep. It's just not fair. It really isn't. It really isn't. But it has nothing to do with money. Let's make that clear to all the haters. Because who, Chris, is second in spending money in Major League Baseball?
Mets.
The New York Metropolitans. And where do they stand in the standings in the National League East, Chris?
At the bottom.
They're at the bottom of the National League East,
Thank
and
God.
they spend the second most money in baseball. So don't give me that crap, because the Chicago White Sox don't spend a nickel on their teams, and they are in first place.
And the Mets just had to spend $2 million today.
On what?
Bobby Bonilla.
On what?
It's Bobby Bonilla Day.
They're still paying Bobby Bonilla? Wow. That is the smart. There'll never be a contract like Bobby Bonilla. I just don't understand that.
It's pretty much Shohei.
The man hasn't played in 20 years.
I know.
Good Google it.
I think it comes up, or like it ends though in the next couple of years.
One would think. One would certainly think. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Kevin Mays, just a kid who it's just hard to understand, you know? Played basketball at CSUB, got his degree from CSUB, had a bright future as a coach or just being a part of it. I mean, once you get in that club, that's the hardest part. And the easiest way is to be an ex-player, and the maximum easiest way is to be an ex-player with a college degree, which opens all kind of doors. And all you got to do is get on somebody's bench. You know what I'm saying? There are just so many examples. Look at Mark Hudson's son, who I went to school with. Is he still? Where is he now? He's not at Fresno State still? No. But I mean, he got on board at San Diego State, and now he's going to bounce around for the rest of his life in the collegiate college coaching ranks. All you got to do is get on the bench and show that you've got some skills and some knowledge and some effort. That's all it takes. And this kid had that opportunity. And for whatever reason, he tapped into these girls and was pimping them. He was felony charges of pimping, drug possession while armed, and possessing child porn. So I guess that's the answer. It's who he was. He was able to hide it for a very long time. But if you're looking at child porn, that's who you are. Something happened to you in your life that set you off, that has scrambled your brain. He'll be a sexual, he'll have to register as a sexual offender for the rest of his life. Good luck getting a decent job for the rest of your life. And he was sentenced to 4 years in prison. And one of the reasons that I brought this up is because, and maybe I don't know, it's me, I just won't let it go, but it harkens back to Carmelo Anthony case. It really does. Because David Torres was his attorney. And he's one of the best attorneys. The guy can't stand me because he said something about, we got into it on Facebook about something. We had a great relationship up until then. And he said something about something on Facebook, and I barked back, and, you know, how dare you bark back at David Torres? So he ripped into me and called me a cheesy radio talk show host that does things for ratings and all this nonsense. And all right, too bad. Erase him. But he's a great attorney. There's no question about that. And it goes to show you the stupidity or maybe the negligence of the Carmelo Anthony parents, or perhaps the malpractice of their attorney. Because in my opinion, A, we talked about this, they didn't have the kid tell his story if it was self-defense. And B, all they had to do with a kid with 3.7 GPA who had never committed a crime before this, if they had asked for a plea deal, he'd have been sentenced to 6 years, he'd have done 3, he could have recouped his life, he could have written a book and gone on about his life. Gone on about his life. But you know what I believe, which I think a lot of people believe? That the parents who were able to raise over $500,000 during the trial wanted a trial and wanted the trial to go on. Because who didn't see that conviction coming from around the bend? You know what I'm saying? And maybe the parents don't because they're so emotionally attached. But what good attorney didn't see that a kid who got pushed and then shoved a knife in another kid's chest was going to be convicted by, I don't know, a Texas jury. And the fact that it was a white jury ain't got nothing to do with it. It's Texas. And it just goes to show what a good attorney can do for you, because Mays will be out in what? 2.5 years, maybe? 3 tops? You know what I'm saying? As sad as that is, that people that pimp other human beings and are into child porn only can plead out to a 4-year deal. And once again, as our district attorney making a plea deal, that'll babysit you. You go get those child pornographers and you give them 24 months in jail. The same amount of time the guy that punched me in the face got, that's what we're giving child pornographers. Attaboy, Cynthia. You keep up that great work down there on Truxton. Locking up the bad guys for 24, 36 months. Atta girl. You get them. Quick timeout. We're talking cybersecurity with Van Alstyne's. Jennifer and Ryan join us next.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. U.S. and Iranian negotiators have met separately with Qatari and Pakistani mediators, and host Qatar is reporting positive progress in talks. The plan is to continue discussions after the funeral of Iran's previous supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, which is set to start on Saturday. The talks focus on ending the war and resolving issues over the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump visited the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library in North Dakota on Wednesday. The $450 million library project explores the 26th president's life in the rugged remote landscape where he roamed as a cowboy and big game hunter in the 1880s. The facility's grand opening is July 4th. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 13 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card?
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. The person who was shot while riding their bike is still critical, say Bakersfield police. That shooting was on Forest Street near the intersection with H about 5:45 Tuesday afternoon. Bakersfield detectives have not openly discussed a motive and have not released any information about any possible suspects. You may have been hearing a lot lately about the ICE detention facilities in Kern County. There are 4 here, with the one in California City being the largest. But Kern County Public Health Director Bryn Kerrigan, in a presentation to Kern County supervisors at Tuesday's meeting, made it clear that his department has no authority to conduct health inspections at those facilities, according to state law. He says there have been environmental health inspections and all the facilities passed those. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
On BritBox, there is a place where stories twist like cobblestone roads, grand manners hide secrets, and stakes are higher than seaside cliffs. Find places worth getting lost in on BritBox. Watch a new series like The Other Bennett Sister from the world of Jane Austen and A Woman of Substance starring Golden Globe winner Brenda Blethyn. If you want to get away, you're in the right place. Stream the best of British TV on BritBox. Free trial at BritBox.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
A educational conversation between J.D. Vance and Bill Maher. This is the opportunity. This is the door that's been opened. We got 13
really
members
going
now
on?
of the Democrat Party saying, hey,
How
we
was
like
Nashville?
capitalism. And this is the opportunity for other Democrats
Fun
that
city.
agree with Bill Maher that let's take our party back and let's get off this road to socialism.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News
where my mother
Talk
went to college.
96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of
Yeah.
the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
So anyway, I heard we had a security deal. So let's talk about that, but let's talk about it generically. Let's not mention ATM. I don't think we did do that. It's Wednesday, and the folks from Adaptive Networks, Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, are live in studio. For those watching, this will be immediate left, and that's Ryan with the beer, just in case you were confused.
Oh, you know, another.
It does feel like paradise. We're getting a break here. It's July 1st.
Yeah.
It's pleasant outside.
You remember the July's where I was actually wearing a sweater?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
A
remember
couple
that.
years ago.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago. It was like in the 80s or something.
Yeah.
It was like so mild, you know, because usually it's like 4th of July, it's like 110.
Yeah, absolutely.
You wake up by 10 o'clock, it's, you know, already breaking 100 degrees, but we've had a couple pretty mild ones here lately.
Does your house get warmer later in the evening? Am I the only one? I've asked Chris this. My house, I'll set it at like 77.
Okay.
And then around midnight, I'm sweating. And I got to go down to about 75. It gets warmer as it gets later.
Maybe you're just warming up as you sleep, you know?
Is that a possibility? A physiological possibility?
I guess so.
I mean, well,
It'd be weird because I mean the heat on the house should be technically
be
coming
going
down.
down.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah, you would think.
And then around 4, then I'm freezing and I got to get up and turn it off.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Right.
I don't know why I'm boring you with my
Can't find
ridiculous
one
life.
temperature that just sticks,
Yeah.
right?
So I understand that you guys had a recent battle with cybersecurity. It's come to reality. We've been talking about it for weeks, if not months, and it's actually hit one of your clients.
Yeah, we sure did. So we just got back from a conference last week. So one of the things that had come up, it was really around automation and AI, particularly in our industry. But cybersecurity came up a lot, and one of the newer threat vectors, one of the very emerging ones, is one we were talking about. And fast forward to this week, and we had one hit, and our security teams were able to pick it up near real time. And so then we had our team go in and actually look and go back through the user and be like, okay, we were getting the data real time. So we're like, hey, something happened. Computer is secured. It's isolated, but we want to go through and actually see firsthand what this newest threat looks like. And so we're able to go through, reassure the user, use it as a training opportunity to say, hey, if you see this thing, it's just be careful what you do. So what it ended up being is a website got hacked. Anybody's site would be susceptible to that. And they used, those they're called CAPTCHAs, where you go to like, how many cars do you see in this? And you have like a 4x4 grid, and it's usually 4 of the tiles. So they're using these CAPTCHAs now. And when the user verifies it, it's actually a fake CAPTCHA is what it is.
Yeah.
And then it pops up and says, hey, copy this into your computer and do this with it and run it. And they're running malicious code on their computer. And it pretty much instantly starts doing a reconnaissance and trying to steal their data and do whatever it can with the computer and then spread if it has the ability to other devices on the network. So
what is their goal? Once they have the data, what do they do with that?
Money. They hold
ransom?
it ransom. So they can either encrypt the data or you don't have access to it. So we may have talked about it a couple weeks ago. You have availability and you have confidentiality. Well, you actually have confidentiality, integrity, and availability are the 3 data pillars when you're talking about cybersecurity and protecting data. Confidentiality is pretty self-explanatory. I don't want anybody else to see it.
Right.
The way they do that is the way they compromise that, they exfiltrate the data and say, hey, I've got all your clients' credit card data, or I've got their medical data, or whatever protected data, whatever valuable data. And they say, either pay us or we're going to release it in a lot of cases. And the availability is when they target with a ransomware. They encrypt your data so it's not available for the users. So those are the 2 pillars they're going after. And they're just getting so much more sophisticated in how they carry out these attacks.
Yeah. How does law enforcement get involved? Is there any attempt at prosecution for these people?
If it's a big enough compromise, they'll get involved.
but you're not recovering from the loss. Law enforcement, it's whatever's happened has happened. They've taken your data, they've encrypted your data. You're still, as a business, having to take on the loss, and one way or another. And
hopefully you're stopped.
They should be, but I mean, they're outside of the U.S. Most of them are all outside of the U.S. And
Really?
you can't extradite.
Didn't know that.
Russia, China, adversarial countries that you can't go in there and do anything. I mean, the government can, and sometimes they do, have adversarial techniques they use against these groups and ways they can take them down and other ways they can put pressure. But they're still hitting the businesses and hitting people's bottom line.
Wow, that's frightening. That really, really is. Talking with Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne from Adaptive Networks. Tell us more about the conference.
Yeah, so the conference was great. We were there with about 500 other MSPs from across the nation, and some that are across the pond over in Europe. And we were just talking about all things AI, automation, cybersecurity. It was very enlightening. Actually plays into what we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
Which was, and they shed some really good light on it, and that is that bigger isn't always safer. So a lot of people will think that, I need to go with, maybe the big box MSP, or because these guys have a larger staff, that's going to mean better outcomes for my company. And one of the things that was kind of reinforced from a very large MSP was that, one, they have a lot of the same problems that we have as smaller MSPs. They don't have any new challenges that we haven't already faced. And most of the time we've overcome those challenges already while they're still trying to, figure things out. So you think of it kind of like a boat, right? And you have a small boat, one of these little fast boats that can move really fast. Something changes, it needs to turn and it's going a different direction, versus a large, cargo container ship. They don't turn very fast.
Right.
And it's very, very true. And they were up there on the stage and very open and honest about some of the challenges and struggles. And I looked around the room, and many of the other MSPs were just kind of had the same look like I had. Like, I'm surprised that, an MSP with, hundreds of technicians, I think like 500-600 technicians, is having these problems that a lot of us have already have already overcome in different ways.
Wow.
So
With
yeah,
IT, you've got to be able to move, super quickly, because these threats are evolving so fast.
Yeah.
And it's too fast to go and train employees at the clients, because that's traditionally has always been a part of a cybersecurity. As you go and you train your employees, this is what to look for. But now it's so sophisticated and things are moving so quickly. I don't even know how well that actually helps anything to, go in and do trainings for people, because like he was talking about, like with the CAPTCHA and stuff, I don't know if anybody would really be able to detect that.
Yeah, no kidding. How would you? How could you determine the difference? I mean,
there are training, but it's moving so fast that the challenge is you have to be in front of and anticipate the user making the wrong decision. User gets decision tree. We have to assume they're going to make the wrong decision nowadays. And then it's like, what do we do? What protection do we have after it happens to thwart, almost real time? One of the other things that was interesting that we had talked about is how fast the threats move. And where we used to have like days or weeks where an adversary would do reconnaissance, you've only got a couple of hours. So if there's like a 0-day event and there's no patch for it, there's no way to implement a direct fix from, like a software patch that closes whatever security gap. If it's not there, you only have a couple of hours from when the attack starts, and you really only have less than a day. I think it's like the 20-hour window now of being fully remediated of that issue.
Can you detect when the attack starts?
Yes. Yeah, we have a lot of sophisticated systems that are pulling every signal coming from the computer. What websites a user went to, what information was exchanged, what sites or hosts they may have connected to, and then everything that's leaving the network as well. Keeping an eye on what's leaving the network and seeing that it's going places it shouldn't be going.
Right.
And so our security operations teams are very, very aggressive on those. And when something does happen, they can also tell us what data that the adversary had access to or saw. So if it was email, if it was files on the computer, we can actually see. So we'll know right away what our exposure is. So yeah, so I mean, bigger isn't always better. It doesn't mean you can move fast. Sometimes it's quite the opposite. So
yeah, that's surprising. That is shocking.
We've focused on staying very nimble and very efficient. So that really plays into why we work so hard to do advanced automations. And that plays in how we can use automations to detect and respond to cybersecurity incidents and stay as close to real time as possible. So sometimes it's help from other parties, like our security operations team. They're dedicated to doing exactly that. That's all they do. They're eyes on glass and looking at everything that's happening on the devices. And they're seeing sensors from all over the world, from thousands, if not millions of devices. And they're correlating all that data. So when they say something's bad, you can pretty rest assured that something's bad.
Yeah.
And they're taking action on our behalf. So if it's 2:00 in the morning, you got to sleep sometime. Those guys are acting, on our behalf. What they did the other day was just instantly, as soon as they detected, isolate the computer.
Yeah, that's
the
what
computer can do no damage. They can't move any data around or do anything beyond that device. And it's very effective.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Your recent client that had the issue, did they pick it up or did you?
We picked it up.
You picked it up?
We picked it up. Yeah. We literally had an email on our or a ticket on our board, and we had a phone call to all of our engineering team that was this needs to be responded to right away. So they come in as a critical ticket, and we see those and responded. So they hit us within minutes of the incident, and then we were already on the device rectifying it just a few minutes later.
Wow,
And
that's incredible.
They didn't extract any data.
No, we stopped them. We do the kill chain happens pretty quick, and it's usually fast enough that they're not able to get to much or make any significant headway.
Just one of the reasons, if you're a serious business owner, why you should get on board with Adaptive Networks. AGM has done it, and it's saved us. You have no idea, but I'm not going to go there. But you should get with these folks. Call them 241-0638. Heard them online at adaptive-net.com. Any final thoughts before I let you go?
I would just say, yeah, the conference we were at actually wasn't about cybersecurity, although we did talk a lot about it. It was about advanced automation. So that's one thing that we're doing for our clients. And they rolled out some really exciting new developments that they're working on. And so it allows us to go into each of our clients and be able to customize and make automations that really help their bottom line.
Yeah.
Anytime you can cut work hours, from what employees have to do, it always helps.
Yeah, especially around here.
Yeah.
And then we've got, this is the third part, I think, to the series next week.
Yes,
next
what
week
are we
will be the
looking forward
final
to?
one. So next week is going to be what you need to do to make the move, how to make the move, how to make it smooth, why it's not as scary as you think it might be.
Outstanding. Looking forward to it. Welcome back from the South. Is it your first time in the South?
No, we go back to Oklahoma quite a bit because I have family there. And then we've been back to Tennessee a couple times, but we're actually going to New York next week for a client.
Nice.
So doing some work over there for a client, and we're going to bring the kids with us on that one too, and make a little mini vacation out of it.
Where in New York are you going?
Manhattan.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I've never been, so first time for me.
Really?
First time for me, first time for the kids. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm not I don't really care for big cities too much, but New York's
you got to do New York. You got to experience New York. I don't know if you got to live in New York, but you got to experience New York. You're going to climb the Eiffel Tower. You're going to climb the Empire State Building.
Which one are we doing? We're doing one of the buildings, I think.
Well, our son's really into architecture right now, so we have a whole we got to go see Empire State, Chrysler Building, One World Trade Center, all that stuff.
You didn't hear the story of the day today?
Oh, I did hear that.
The couple that climbed the Empire State Building to ask his girl to marry him.
No, what happened?
They climbed the Empire State Building.
Like they scaled it?
Yes.
That's wild.
They not the top, but like the antenna. The antenna. They climbed all the way up, and then with WABC's helicopter circling, he dropped to a knee. They got hitched, climbed back down,
and then got
went to jail. You can't skip me.
I was going to ask if they base jumped or something. But they didn't even do anything. Yeah,
that would be smart.
Yeah,
glide along to Long Island
at least
or something.
Get a chance to get out of there, maybe.
Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne from Adaptive Networks. Call today at 661-241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. Be sure to tune in next week, the fourth chapter of our tutelage session. Quick time out. Nick Ragone will join us in the 5. We're going to talk about the Battle of Gettysburg, the Gettysburg Address. I got some other miscellaneous news and notes to get to. We've got some sports news breaking as well. That's all coming up after the break. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Yeah, I'm just like...
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security.
Yeah.
For the Central Valley, that means local service, including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community, looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise
I was
is
going to
still the
mention
same.
that too.
We got
I got that written
Learn
down.
more at bayalarm.com.
The Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. Call them today at 661-241-0638. 241-0638. Yes, he
Hit them
did.
online
at adaptive-net.com. And, I've talked a lot about Adaptive Networks, but, Reckless
at the end of the day, what it really
endangerment,
comes down to
trespassing,
is simple customer service.
and
That's
disorderly
really what they hang their hat on. They are outstanding and excellent. And when it comes to IT, that is a great demand. I've told you time and time again, as a radio station, we lean on these people. They are a part of our radio station because without our IT, we have absolutely nothing. They are quick, they are reliable, and again, they depend on their customer service. We had one of their clients come in and just extol the virtues of being a client of the folks at Adaptive Networks. Call them today at 241-0638. That's 241-0638. Or keep it locked. Join us on Wednesday when Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne join us live in studio.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Corey, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code MONEY to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code MONEY to borrow up to $10,000. Use code MONEY to borrow up to $10,000.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older, and you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement account? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now, back to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Have you ever done Golden Gate? That's pretty scary. What scares me is that there's no freaking center divider. It's just like free for all, basically. But everybody, there's never really any accidents. All right, guys, I gotta go. Thank you. Good seeing you guys. See you next Wednesday. Okay, I'll do it. Good. Okay. My jaw hurts. Had a Rico lock. Want to thank Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne for joining us. And I lied; they will not be here next Wednesday. They just told us next Wednesday. We're doing Tuesday. What are you talking about?
I said not next week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is Tuesday. Yeah, not next week. Following week. 842-537-6842 KERN. Anything on the board?
Yeah, I got a couple here.
What do you got?
Ralph, understanding that President Biden and his son made money off the presidency, are you comfortable with our president making literally hundreds of millions of dollars off of these coins of no real value?
Well, first of all, that's absolutely incorrect. He did not make hundreds of millions of dollars. Get real. Get your facts right. He made $1 billion. $1 billion. But technically, you're right, because I have it itemized. Technically, you're right. He made $655 million on celebration coins. He made $526 million on crypto coins. He made $77 million just from his plantation down in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. He made $4.7 million on Trump watches. And I don't know if you all have ever seen the motion picture Paper Moon, in which Tatum O'Neal won an Academy Award at the age of 11. And I hate to speak ill of the dead, but her no good piece of crap father, who was so jealous of her, even at 11, did not show up for his daughter's acceptance of the Academy Award. Did you see that film? Well, just in case you didn't, the theme of the show is they're grifters. And what do they grift? They sell Bibles. Let's get back to our president. He made approximately $850,000 selling Bibles. Donald J. Trump will go down in history. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't feel like fighting with my audience. I didn't even have it in my rundown, even though I put it in my notes. Here's how I put the show together. And don't ask me why, but I get an envelope. I literally get an envelope. And I just jot down notes. And I jotted this. This was the big story of the day. Everybody led with this story. How much money the president has. That he's made $1 billion. That his sons are involved. And blah, 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 blah. And yes, it's unsightly. I don't know if it's corrupt. I haven't investigated. I don't have the facts to back that up. But yes, it's completely unsightly. When, in fact, did I write these facts down? I hope I wrote it down. God dang it. Did I write it down? There are some numbers that are amazing. Yes, I did write it down. That 54% of Americans cannot afford to go to dinner. That 65% of America say they have no money for the future. 66% of the American citizens can't come up with $1,000 inside of 48 hours. That's frightening. 66% of the people that live in this country can't come up with $1,000 inside of 48 hours. Which means if someone dies in their family, they can't afford to bury them. If somebody gets badly sick, they can't afford to take care of them. If there's any kind of disaster, their car, whatever, because you got to pay the, what do you have to pay when you have an insurance, even if you've been hit? You've got to pay the deductible. Hell, I got hit in college. They destroyed my car, and my dad still had to come up with like $750 for the deductible. Well, if more than half the country can't even come up with $1,000, that's why you see these people running around with these hoopties with these huge dents in their car because they can't afford to fix them. And finally, I literally can't read my own writing, but it's 71%.
I'm going to come in there and take a crack at it?
Yeah, come and take a look. Chris can't. Chris is the only one that can decipher because he's forced to read my writing every single day. What's that? You something? What do you got? What's your best guess?
Vacations.
Nicely done. That's classic. 71. Bailey, Trump money, take two. And get this. Wait till you hear this one. 71% of the country can't afford occasion.
Occasion?
That's what I see. I don't see it. I don't know how you got a V out of that, boy. That looks like
either a U or a V, and I'm pretty sure it's a VA.
Yeah, it is vacation. So yes, it's incredibly unsightly when we are in economic upheaval But the stock market's doing well. And that's how the president responded. Do I have that? Oh, I think I have it. I don't think I sent it to you. I think I've got it. But yeah, that's how he responded. Everybody's doing well. Everybody's doing well. 401ks are up, boop, 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 boop. But yes, he's made $1 billion while in the presidency. And that's just, and you know what? Another reason I kept it off the rundown, the Obamas were not filthy rich before they became president of the United States. They really weren't. The Clintons were not filthy rich before they got in the presidency. And now these people are filthy rich. I mean, there are categories. Were the Obamas well off? Of course, they were two attorneys. They were well off. Were they rich? No, they were well off. Were they affluent? No. Were they wealthy? Certainly not. They certainly are now. Did they have 4 homes before when he was in the Senate? No, they had 1. And they had a vacation place in Hawaii. Now they have a home in Hawaii. They have a home in Martha's Vineyard. They have a home in Georgetown. How do you make that kind of money on $400,000 a year? So I can't really bag on Trump when all these legislators, including Nancy Pelosi, come in wealthy and leave rich.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
From Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters.
That was good. I don't know how
the World Food Program has delivered aid to quake-affected areas in Venezuela, and on Tuesday, a Jordanian team rescued a toddler in Caracas.
The UN Food Agency says they're distributing aid to thousands of Venezuelans affected by the June 24 earthquake, including in La Guaira, one of the most affected areas, where workers distributed food aid to residents on Wednesday. The WPF said also that they've completed a first distribution for 1,200 people. The agency adds they aim to reach 500,000 in the next 3 months, while on Tuesday afternoon, a toddler who'd been trapped for 6 days under a collapsed building was rescued. Footage shows jubilant Jordanian rescuers crying Mashallah, an Arabic phrase that means God has willed it. I'm Charles Deladesa.
Federal Reserve Board Chair Kevin Warsh said the Fed is intent on getting inflation to its 2% target.
We're going to deliver price stability in the U.S. That's what this committee has signed up to do. And our objective is to do that. The tactics, the strategy, and the rest, that's still to come.
And Warsh says the Fed will stay free of political influence.
We've been an independent central bank for a very long time. We're going to be an independent central bank at this moment. And you're going to see no changes on that.
The previous Fed Chair Jerome Powell had run up against President Trump's desire for an interest rate cut. Multi-day warnings of extreme heat landed in New York, Boston, and Philadelphia on Wednesday as sultry weather pushed east just ahead of 4th of July celebrations in a region that revels in its role as a historic hub of U.S. independence. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 13 points, the S&P 500 lower by 16. More at townhall.com.
There's a moment in everyone's life when you just get tired of feeling lousy. That moment when you decide enough is enough. Maybe tying your shoes has become an Olympic sport. Maybe you had a scare at your last checkup. Maybe you're just tired of sitting this one out. Whatever the reason, when you start your journey, you don't have to do it alone. When I finally made my decision to get healthy and lose weight 4 years ago and 53 pounds ago, I knew I couldn't stay the course without support. I called PhD Weight Loss. Best decision I ever made. I've learned so much about myself, nutrition, how to balance it all, and maintain a healthy life. No more sitting on the sidelines for me. Right now, when you call PhD Weight Loss and mention Mike, you'll get 2 free weeks added to the program, and they'll pay for the cost of your food. That's a $1,500 value. Make the call that can change your life the way it changed mine. PhD Weight Loss. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900. Or go to myphdweightloss.com. I'm Mike Gallagher. If I can do it, you can too. PhD Weight Loss.
This morning I started to feel it.
Tech stocks send the markets lower.
Major from the KERN newsroom, your live and local news update.
No discussion yet of why the shooting happened. I'm Chris Davis. No motive has been discussed publicly by Bakersfield police investigators who are looking into the shooting of a person who was riding a bicycle Tuesday afternoon on Forest Street near the intersection with H. The shooting happened about 5:45 p.m., and police say the person who was shot is still critical. That person has not been ID'd publicly, and police have not released any info about possible suspects. You may have been hearing a lot lately about the ICE detention facilities in Kern County. There are 4 here, with the one in Cal City being the largest. But Kern County Public Health Director Brent Carrigan, in a presentation to the Kern County supervisors at Tuesday's meeting, made it clear that his department has no authority to conduct health inspections at those facilities according to state law. He says there have been environmental health inspections and all the facilities passed those. $4.5 billion of your tax dollars will fund all the county services and departments for the next fiscal year in the budget passed Tuesday by Kern County supervisors. But 59 vacant positions will not be filled and will be cut mostly from the Department of Human Services to help save some money. Supervisors say the county's spending outweighs the money coming in, and that problem is only likely to get worse. Gas in California keeps inching its way downward. The average price for a gallon of regular is now $5.36, says Gas Buddy, and that is down more than a dime from this time last week. The national average is $3.79. The least expensive gas around here is $4.49 per gallon at stations in Wofford Heights and Kernville. Right now, it's at least 40 cents higher in Bakersfield proper, with the cheapest in the city at $4.89. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
To the rest of in a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want. That's shooting in a week. I'm going to make him an offer again.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this first day of July. Can you believe it? About to celebrate our 250th birthday. Headed into the heart of the summer. Got a vacation coming up in about 4 weeks. I'm excited about that. Still no determination on where I'm heading or if I'm heading. Well, I'm definitely going to LA that weekend. My mother turns 84 on Friday. The Friday that I'm leaving for vacation, she turns 84. So I'll be in LA for a little bit regardless. But what I'm going to do with my week has been yet to be determined. And Porterville is a viable opportunity. People are laughing at me. I got a couple of buddies that gave me crap. Did you really go on the radio yesterday and say you're going to Porterville for your vacation? And I was like, yeah. It's got 2 things that I love to do. A golf course and a casino. What more do I need for a couple of days? I'm not going to spend the entire 5 days up there. But I'll go up there like on a Monday.
Hey, look, man, as long as
come back Wednesday. Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, the reason they gave me crap is because my birthdays have become infamous.
Oh, true.
You
always go on some trip or some
just something always goes wrong.
Because we need you to go back to Pine Mountain Club as well. And
that's one of the highlights, Pine Mountain Club, where I thought that would be a really good idea to spend a couple of days up in Pine Mountain Club. I love Pine Mountain Club. I got turned on to Pine Mountain Club by a couple that listened to the broadcast and loved me. And I used to own Pine Mountain Club as a radio talk show host. Owned it. I said I used to own.
How did you?
Well, it's funny you should ask, Chris Burdick. Buckley Radio was the only AM station they could get up there. That's a true story.
So we owned them. They loved us. They loved everybody on our station. And I got asked to be the grand marshal of the, I believe it's the Lilac Parade. Am I right? Pine Mountain Club listeners, the Lilac Parade. And the parade, the funny thing about the parade is it's about 150 yards. I mean, I could have sprinted the parade. But I was in this blue, sweet 68 baby blue Corvette convertible. Oh, it was great. And the only thing about that parade I remember is I'm waving and I'm going by, and there was a kid with a Giant hat on. And I said, take that Giant hat on. We're Dodger fans. And the kid looked at me scared and took off his hat. And I was like, I'm just kidding. Put that hat back on, son. Scared the crap out of this child. But so I go up to Pine Mountain Club, and my birthday was like on a Tuesday. So I went up there like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think I was going to come back on Thursday, only to find out that there was only one restaurant that's open during the week. It was a Mexican restaurant right in the heart of town, and it was the only place that was really open during the week. Everything else open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That was the first strike. So then I walked to the golf course. I was staying in an Airbnb close enough where I could walk to the golf course, literally with my bags on my back. I carried my golf clubs to the course and played and got around the 7th hole. And there's I think it's a little 9-hole course. I can't remember if it's 9 or 18. Anyway, it's a tiny little course. And there's a horse ranch up to the north of the golf course. And, there are bears. That was one of the first things. I ran into the folks that owned the Airbnb. And why did I ask the question? I asked them, you have any bears in this area? And the homeowners were like, oh, yeah, all the time. In fact, they come up on the deck that we're sitting on right now. I was done. I went and played golf, and I heard the horses rambling. I cut off my golf. I was like, no, I don't care. That's probably a horse, but why should I roll the dice? And I walked off the course, got back, had dinner, and they had already told me about the horses, the bears coming up on the deck, right? But I was still hanging in there. So I get back from playing golf, and they're still out on the deck drinking. Lovely couple. The house was so big that we were completely separated. But just as I was about, I said, well, okay, they offered me a Tom Collins. We were drinking together. It was a really fun night. And I said, okay, I'm going to try to go to bed now. I'm playing golf early in the morning. And she said, oh, because my bedroom had a sliding glass door. And the female owner said to me, oh, I forgot to tell you, make sure you lock your sliding glass door. And I said, you guys have thieves, burglars up here? She said, no, but the bears can get up on their hind feet and slide the glass door open. Hey, Larry? Yeah, it's Ralph. Yeah, can you pick me up first thing in the morning? First thing in the morning, as early as you can. No, actually, I told him 6 in the evening because I did want to play golf, but I was out. After she told me that the bears are opening sliding glass doors, I'm out. And I called Larry's, and late Larry's a great old African-American man. He used to drive me everywhere. He used to take me to Burbank, LAX, anywhere I wanted to go, because he just loved to drive. Sometimes he would just take off and go to Vegas by himself. He just loved to drive. And I told him to come at 6 p.m. because I had a tea time at 7. I get out of the shower at about 6:15 to go play golf, and Larry's walking outside. And I'm like, I said 6 in the evening, but I was like, screw it, I'm ready to go. I'm not messing with him. And the deal was the story that they told me, because it wasn't just the sliding glass door and the fact that they come on the deck, but they told me the reason that they were having problems with the bears is because they had a neighbor who was feeding them. And the city council was dragging him in, and they were charging him and all this stuff. He'd give them leftovers, and the bears almost attacked him once, and he's still putting Alpo out there for him. And it's just, are you stupid? I don't get it. But yeah, so, and my birthdays are just, infamously been horrendous. I got my jaw broken 48 hours before my birthday, celebrating my birthday. Got involved with the police on one of my birthdays, sat in the tank for 4 hours because they claimed that I was stopping traffic on 24th Street. I was walking to Casey's Steakhouse and they claimed that I was stopping traffic. Do you know how dead you would be if you tried to stop traffic on 24th Street? That's what, in the Pep Boys parking lot, that's what they said. Turn around, Mr. Bailey. Spent 4 hours in the clink on my birthday. Then there's the famous Carla birthday, where we went and celebrated in Vegas and had a great birthday. Saw Stevie dancing with another black couple. And then there's the famous drive back where not a word was spoken in the car from Tehachapi all the way to 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Not a word was spoken in the vehicle. That's another infamous birthday. Then there's the famous Mammoth Mountain birthday, where my good friends Chris Zucchini and Mike Arier, looking out for a brother, took me to Mammoth. And I got, what do you call that? What do you call that, Chris?
Elevation sickness, right?
What is it?
Elevation sickness?
Elevation sickness. I was sick as a dog the whole time. I couldn't walk 50, 75 yards without getting out of breath. And then I got on the gondola up in Mammoth and had a panic attack. And I have never since or before or since had a panic attack. But I had one up there then. And then I was like, we were up at this thing, and Chris and Mike were walking around, and I'm sitting inside freaking out. I can't explain it. Heart just beating, and they finally come back, and I go, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. And thankfully, they were cool about that. So then we get to go on the gondola going down, and I can't get on. I can't get on. I can't even explain this. I'm just like, Mike's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't get on. And they're like, Ralph, what's wrong with you? I don't know, but I can't get on. Finally, they just kind of grab me and drag me on. We're halfway down. And what did my two best friends do?
Laugh at you. Funny you. Oh, they make rock.
They're starting to sway the gondola. And I'm like, come on, seriously, guys. And they're just laughing and swinging. And I'm just in the air like this, just about to have a stroke, about to have a heart attack and a stroke and a nervous breakdown. And they're just laughing. And I literally get down to the bottom and I run to the bar and bang, bang, bang. And everything was right with the world again. So I don't look forward to my birthdays. I really don't. They have never been, I never had a birthday party when I was a kid. Never, ever. It was always just a cake in the family because all my friends lived in Sherman Oaks or in the Valley. I went to high school 45 minutes from where I lived, and especially when we moved to the South Bay. But by then I was in 11th and 12th grade. We didn't have birthday parties. But like when I was like 7th, 8th, 9th grade, I never had it. This was middle of summer. And to try to get all those kids from the Valley and all the area to come to Ladera, wouldn't happen. It was always just a cake. And I didn't have a problem with that. But my birthdays have been infamous. The best birthday I've had recently, I have to, Michael Bowers and Paul Sturgeon. And Michael engineered a trip to Lake Tahoe with Chris Sturgeon, his son, Paul, Ken, one of Paul Sturgeon's best friends, and Ken's son. And I had a ball. Dropped $1.50 playing poker up there because I was drunk. And I remember specifically that night. I was so happy and just having such a good time. Dude, I was playing Jack 5 unsuited. That's all I remember. That was the last hand I played. Jack 5 unsuited.
Oh, you definitely didn't care.
Yeah, like, really? Like, what was I thinking? I'm going to get 3 jacks? Like, what? Even a pair of jacks ain't going to win the pot.
My day, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 2 jacks and a 5.
And even if you did,
I'd probably lose the bet anyway. So I'm really not looking forward to my birthday. One of the other best birthdays was the week that I just played golf with Zucchini. Played like 3 or 4 days. And some of the members were looking at me like, Ralph, I'm overusing our empathy, aren't you, a little bit, just a little bit? That was probably the best birthdays I ever had. But famously, my birthday's just for whatever reason. And at this point, my life, don't you want to just stop celebrating birthdays? At least stop counting them. I know that much. But 842-537-6842 KERN. I want to see who's Chris got on the phone before I go to break. Anybody? Who you got?
David.
David, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Ralph, you just hit a nerve with me, man.
Yeah, what do you got?
Your anxiety thing you had at the mountain.
Yeah, you had the same thing?
No, not at a mountain.
Yeah?
On top of my mother's house.
Really?
Oh, listen to this. I would jump off this house for no reason. And all of a sudden, I could not get off. I was probably 12 years old, and I was crying like a big baby.
Really?
And now, do you remember this song called Get Down, back in the 70s?
Get down, get down, get down, get down. Da-da-da, da-da-da.
My sister and my brother were all singing it.
Shut up!
Crying like a little girl. Ralph, you hit a nerve, buddy.
Now that's funny. That is funny.
It was just a one-story house.
And your family singing "Get Down, Get Down."
Oh,
that's
God.
classic.
They would not shut up about it. And to this day, they still rag me on it.
That's a home run, David. That's a great story.
God.
That is a great story. All right, man. Thanks for the call. Have a happy 4th.
All right, bye.
All right, Lane. Let's go. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't have for like not big heights because I used to jump over our house. The back extension of our house kind of overlapped the pool. And again, I always talk about this, just how different parenthood is. Because I'm pretty sure I would not let my children do what my parents let me do. We get up there with wet feet on the top of because once I had a basketball court, and it was I don't know why we didn't use a ladder. I'm sure my dad had a ladder, but we would climb the roof just to get the basketball from behind the basketball board. And then one day when I was getting the basketball, I just started meandering around the house, and I realized, oh, look, the back of the house extends over the pool. I bet I could jump in there. And we started doing that, and we would do it at parties with other kids and their parents all partying at our house, and they would let us get up there with wet feet and jump off the house into the deep end of our pool.
We used to do that too.
I mean, I think a parent would go to jail today if a kid did that and broke his neck.
Definitely not smart, but
the one thing that was safe about it is if you slipped, you would fall in the pool.
Yeah.
The backside of the house hung over the pool.
Yeah, like if there's a clear you have to get over.
Yeah, no, exactly. If you have to jump and clear 2 or 3 feet, and if you miss, you hit the cement, that's insane.
But if it's like a little bit of a gap, or
you don't even have to.
If
you just fall forward, you would fall in the pool. I'm not saying that made it safe, but it made it safer. Just saying. Quick timeout. Coming right back. It's TRBS on a Wednesday, right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Don't forget, Nick Ragone is going to join us at 5 o'clock. We're going to talk about the Battle of Gettysburg and the Gettysburg Address. I would stick around if I you.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1.
Messmaker.
RN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will have burritos and talk mental health with our friend Dr. Corey Gonzalez. We got a lot of stuff, all the various safety warnings and the like for your 4th of July weekend. We'll talk about the future and NAFTA and all the news, traffic, and weather. You can shake a stick at. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hope you're with us tomorrow when we wrap up the week with 2 of our favorite regulars, Mr. Turnipseed and Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Maybe we'll talk about the fact that the president has made $1 billion in his second presidency, but you know what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. They're all about retirement. And if you're over 50, it's time to at least start thinking about the 4th quarter of your life. And again, as I say, just about every time I talk about Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, the single smartest financial move I've ever made in my life is becoming a client about 10 years ago. Beyond my 401k, beyond my Social Security, I know I've got something in the bank or with Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors that'll get me through the 4th quarter of my life. So join me. Hit up the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors today. Call them at 395-9400, 395-9400, and his office is located right on the corner of 21st and Oak. And he joins us tomorrow at 4:30. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
On BritBox, there is a place where stories twist like cobblestone roads, grand manners hide secrets, and stakes are higher than seaside cliffs. Find places worth getting lost in on BritBox. Watch new series like The Other Bennett Sister from the world of Jane Austen and A Woman of Substance starring Golden Globe winner Brenda Blethyn. If you want to get away, you're in the right place. Stream the best of British TV on BritBox. Free trial at BritBox.com.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
It always amuses me to find out what of the many hundreds of stories that I tell and retell and tell have impact on somebody. Somebody mentioned that their favorite story is the shark in the pool story, which is a terrifying event in my life. I'm in 8th grade. And I had just seen Jaws with Mark Staten and his mother and father at the Centinela Drive-In. Yes, I'm old enough that they were drive-ins. I mean, they were featured, and it wasn't like, Jaws had just come out. I mean, Jaws was in every theater, but it was so packed. I mean, it'd be like in 3 different theaters at one venue. And, the 1 o'clock, the 3 o'clock, the 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we'd be sold out. And so the Statens invited me to go see it at a drive-in. And I was always freaked out by sharks and animals. I hate swimming in the ocean. And I used to have this little mini boogie board that I would take to the beach and ride it. And it's, how I used to teach people how to swim, grab onto the board and I pull them and, just kick your legs and then teach them how to do. And I'm swimming during football season. It was 9th grade because I was getting ready for JV football. And I used to try to get in shape by swimming laps underneath the water and not breathe. And I was at home by myself and I'm doing laps and I'm swimming and I forgot that the boogie board was in the pool. And I made a turn and I'm swimming underneath the water and I look up and there's this dark shadow. And I can't explain it, but I swear I thought it was a shark or a fish or something. And I just panicked and I just kind of moved really quickly, just kind of genuflected. And I got a cramp in my leg and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm concentrating on the cramp and not realizing Ralph was sinking to the bottom of the pool. I mean, I really didn't even realize. I was just like, God, oh. And then I'm like, uh-oh. And we had, in the end of the pool, we had this, you have the steps. And then you have that circular, I don't know what you call it, like handle.
Yeah.
Where you can pull yourself out of the pool.
Railing or something.
Yeah. So I just luckily grabbed the bottom step and I'm able to pull myself over and then I'm able to grab the thing and I pull it up and and finally I kind of stretch out my leg and I still like cramping, but I'm hanging on. But at least I'm breathing. And then I finally pull myself out and I'm laying on the side of the pool. And my mother comes outside and opens up the glass and says, "What are you doing now? Well, boy, stop messing around." And I'm like, you have no idea how close you came to losing your only son. I said that in my head. I didn't say it to my mother. But yeah, it always amuses me. What amuses the audience? That's not funny. I almost died by my damn self. And the other thing was my parents told me never, ever Never, ever, 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 ever get in that pool when nobody's home. That was a very, very strict rule in my house that I violated all the time. I don't have time to get started with anything. You got anything on the board before we get to the bottom of the hour?
Yeah.
What do you
Let's see. When half the country doesn't have $1,000, it's because they have a spending problem to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, and we also have a cost of living problem as well. You can't just blame it on people being irresponsible. I mean, there's a argument for that. You know, it amazes me sometimes when I go to Golden West Casino and I have to drive through certain neighborhoods and I see these tiny little homes, but I see these really nice cars either on the lawn or in the driveway. And I'm just like, you live in the hood, but you can afford an Escalade and a 65-inch television? Okay. But a lot of that is based on wages, not staying up with the cost of living, etc. And it doesn't remove this unsightliness of a president making $1 billion during his term in office. That is not the way government's supposed to be, but who doesn't leave rich? I told you about Jasmine Crockett. She makes $175,000 a year and she owns 3 homes. Walk me through how that works. I know folks making $175,000 just trying to get a home here in Bakersfield. And this woman makes $175,000 a year and she's got 3 different homes. Walk me through how that works. Quick time out. Don't go anywhere.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Multi-day warnings of extreme heat landed in New York, Boston, and Philadelphia on Wednesday. As sultry weather pushed east just ahead of 4th of July celebrations in a region that revels in its role as a historic hub of U.S. independence. Temperatures in the high 90s were forecast for the Northeast. Philadelphia and Boston could top 100 by Thursday. Throw in humidity and the real feel heat index will be even higher at times. President Trump visited the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library in North Dakota on Wednesday. The $450 million library project explores the 26th president's life in the rugged remote landscape where he roamed as a cowboy, a big game hunter in the 1880s. More details at srnnews.com.
The following is a real-life story. Current Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. A person who was riding their bicycle was shot Tuesday afternoon about 5:45 on Forest Street near H. And police say that person, whom they have not yet identified, was still critical in the hospital. They have also not identified any potential suspects in the shooting and have not discussed any possible motives with the public. It appears as though 59 vacant county positions will be cut in the Kern County budget that was approved Tuesday by county supervisors following a public hearing. One of the difficulties is that the spending is outgrowing the money coming in. This year's budget is $56.5 million less than last year's for a grand total of nearly $4.5 billion. Most of the positions that are being cut are in the County Department of Human Services. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
I'm John Busby with Team Busby Real Estate. And I'm Jonathan Busby with Team Busby Real Estate. We just wanted to talk with you about what we do as a team. We do a great job for our clients. Some of the things that we do is when we represent sellers, we don't just put the transaction together. We do our homework and we check their FICO score, source of funds, where the money's coming from, and the job stability. Because what we don't want is to get you into an escrow and the escrow falls out because we didn't do our homework.
With any sort of real estate need that you have, we can accommodate, whether it's residential, commercial, land, or multi-units. We have experience in all and can help you to a successful close.
The background that we have is I was a lender for 5 years, and so I learned quite a bit as far as how to keep a transaction together. We don't just put it together and hope that it closes escrow. Nothing's 100%, but we do stack it in your favor.
With any needs or questions with real estate, give us a call at 661-410-7355 or visit our website at www.teambusby.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will have burritos and talk mental health with our friend Dr. Corey Gonzalez. We got a lot of stuff, all the various safety warnings and the like for your 4th of July weekend. We'll talk about the future and NAFTA and all the news, traffic, and weather. You can shake a stick at. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM.
And so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 big Senate races that everybody's looking at that's going to determine whether or not the Democrats are going to be able to flip the midterms. And again, for maybe new listeners or folks that don't understand and maybe have not heard my explanation why I keep banging this and why I think it's so important. In fact, the president was talking about this just the other day about, wanting to enact the filibuster now because he is certain, as I am, the Democrats are certainly going to do so, particularly if they win the Senate. And let me just focus on a couple of races. The one that shocked me is the Maine race, where the Nazi Graham Plattner is up there taking on Susan Collins, a longtime legislator who, again, it's a bad time to be an incumbent. But one would think that a sexual abusing Nazi would be an easy defeat. And he had a big lead, but now it's down to 2. The latest poll, New York Times poll, has Graham Plattner up 49-47. And that's the key for the Democrats. They think if they can win Maine, they've got a chance because they think they're going to win in Texas, where James Tellerico is in a dead heat. James Tellerico, the Democrat, is in a dead heat with Ken Paxton, the Republican, who is, as I've dubbed him, the I candidate. Why the I candidate? Because he was impeached, he was an infidel, he was unfaithful to his wife, and he was indicted on fraud charges. Now, he was not removed. Impeachment is merely a trial. I got to take this. Sorry. Please stand by. Thanks for finally getting back. Unfortunately, I'll be in cold, so I'm leaving tomorrow night. Damn. And he's just a flawed guy, Paxton. He's the AG. His wife was a state senator, cheated on her with one of her campaign people, and he's going up against a pastor. And the Republican attack against this guy is ridiculous. He's 37 years old. He's never been married, and they're going after his manhood because apparently he's a vegan, and it's hard to be a vegan in the great state of Texas. And so he's countered. I mean, politics has become so stupid. He literally has an ad running in Texas where he's eating a steak. Swear to God. Swear to God. Whereas, it's not just him. Hi, I'm James Tellerico. How are you? I'm having a T-bone. No, he's doing a lot of things and shaking hands, and there he is with construction workers, and there he is at a school, and there he is with females. And then at the end, he's sitting at a table talking with, constituents eating a steak. To combat the Republican campaign against him, that he's not a man, and they've implied that he's gay because he's 37, he's never been married, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, don't you understand what people are talking about at their tables? maybe the texter that called in doesn't have any compassion for people that can come up with $1,000. But as politicians, that's your job to show some empathy, whether it's their poor spending or whether it's just the reality of our society and our economy. But that's going to be a tough, tough battle. Then there is the Alaska race, I call it the Ken Mettler race. Again, I'm sure you've heard me tell the story 1,000 times. My career was it was about a C plus. Some folks remembered me from television when I first got into TV, and some people, radio, and some people remembered me from the Chris and Ralph show, which was my first job in radio, where I had a sidekick and we did a morning show from 5 to 9. We did a 4-hour show. We stood up the whole time, and our numbers were decent. They just wanted us to knock it out of the ballpark because the numbers we were getting like 3s and 4s. And in today's ratings, 3s and 4s keep you hired. But I got whacked after 3 years because the general manager really didn't know what he was doing. Really nice guy, but had no clue what he was doing and had no clue that as much as I loved my partner, and he was a good guy, that I was clearly the better talent. And I hope he's not listening, but he's not in the radio business and I am. And I've been doing it for 22 years. So I'm guessing that I was the better two of the talent, but I was the guy that got fired and Chris got to stay. Okay, fine. That's all right. Led to better things. But I forgot where I was going with this. What was I talking about? You weren't listening. Oh, Mettler. So then I get my own show and it's going okay. Not going great, but it's going okay. And I have this young woman on who wants to run for state senate. And her name is Shannon Grove. And I have her on and she's horrible. She's absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. I have her on 4 weeks later and she comes back and it's like a different person. She was quick, she was responsive, she knew the answers. There was no she just wasn't used to doing the media. And in 3 or 4 weeks, she learned very quickly, as you all know, because Shannon is brilliant, and she was clearly a viable candidate. But Ken Mettler, who ended up being, as we've now most of us have discovered, just a despicable, god-awful human being who's been involved in so many different controversies, infidelity, caught on camera apparently, fighting with some teenager on the corner of Stockdale in California, trying to besmirch me at every turn. He goes on his Facebook and chronicles the side work that I'm doing for Kern Community College District and tries to claim that I'm breaking the law, which is, the last guy that knows anything about the law would be Ken Mettler. And he's the thorn under his saddle is he tried to get a woman named Shannon to run, to obviously do what this Dan Sullivan is doing in Alaska, because the incumbent is Dan Sullivan. The challenger is Dan J. Sullivan. Mr. Mettler couldn't find anybody named Shannon Grove, so he just went with somebody named Shannon. Well, I got a hold of this woman, got her on my show, and got her to admit, yes, Ken Mettler asked me to run as Shannon. And my show blew up. The news did stories on it. It destroyed Ken Mettler's career, his political career. He couldn't get elected dog catcher in either Arizona or here. And he's a bitter, angry man that if you go on his Facebook, I'm sure by the end of the day, he'll be talking about me because I happen to mention his name, not because I want to, because it's just a great analogy to what's going on in Alaska, and it brings it home to you about what they're trying to do and why this Dan Sullivan, the incumbent, tried to get Dan J. Sullivan off the ticket. Couldn't do it. Meantime, he's in a fight for his life. He's going up against Mary, please stand by, Petula. They're at 47 and 45%, meaning that Dan J. Sullivan, the man that joined with the similar name, is going to have a major impact on that Senate race. And that is another big race that could determine who owns or runs or has the majority in the United States Senate, which is kind of a big deal. The other race is in Ohio, which has taken a shift. Sherrod Brown, the Democrat, a former U.S. senator, who then lost, was killing John Husted, but now Husted has flipped the script. Husted is leading 50-47 in Ohio. So the Republicans look good there, but again, that's the margin of error, and we still got many weeks to go until November. The bad news is down in North Carolina.
where once again Donald Trump ran off an incumbent, Tom Tillis. Ran him off, just like he did in Texas with Cornyn, and just like he did with Dr. Cassidy. So that's at least 2 Senate seats that if we lose are totally responsible for Donald Trump. Because John Cornyn would have beaten James Tellerico in Texas quite easily. It would have been money that the Republican Party could have spent maybe in North Carolina, where Michael Whatley is losing badly to Roy Cooper, the Democratic governor, a very popular Democratic governor, but that was our seat. And that was a state that Trump won. And now a Democrat is leading. And this is why I have a problem with this president. Because the epitome of what a Republican president is supposed to be all about is Ronald Reagan. Am I right about that? Can we get a consensus on that? And Reagan said, don't even speak ill of a fellow Democrat, let alone primary them and run an incumbent out so you can bring in your guy. And his numbers of winning, yeah, Trump can primary anybody. If Trump gets in a Republican primary, whoever he touches is going to win. The issue is, will they win the general? And let me tell you something, I don't know much, but Michael Whatley is not beating Roy Cooper, so you can write off North Carolina. And if we lose Maine, if Tellerico beats the I candidate in Texas, we are in deep doo-doo. And finally, there's the Iowa race, where once again, Joni Ernst decided to step aside, where we've got solid Republican incumbents in Senate seats, and they're being run out of the Senate because they can't kiss the ring. Joni Ernst, a military, a fighter pilot, not a fighter pilot, but a pilot in the... Please stand by, let's find out together. Hey Siri, show me Senator Joni Ernst. Everybody relax.
Here's an answer from Wikipedia and ballotpedia.org.
Thank you. Joni Ernst is, come on, phone, come on, anytime now, is an American politician, retired military officer, serving since 2015 as the junior senator, blah, 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 blah. I want to get to her military record. Please stand by. Early life and career. She was born in the valedictorian of her class. She earned a bachelor's degree in psychology at Iowa State, a master's in public administration degree from Columbus State University, military career. Ernst joined Iowa State's University Reserve Officers Training Corps program when she was 20 in the United States Army Reserve after graduating. She served as a logistics officer and attained the rank of lieutenant colonel in the Iowa National Guard. Near the end of her military career, she served as the commanding officer of the 185th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion, Camp Dodge, the Iowa Army. Anyway, we're losing a damn good senator for absolutely no good reason. And what's going on in Iowa in the meantime? Josh Turek is up 40, chasing 46 to Ashley Hudson 48. So that's a toss-up at best. Just don't make no sense. It just doesn't make any sense. And again, I will vote for Donald Trump, but he is hurting the Republican Party. And that's the reality. I don't see how you can look at it any differently, particularly if we lose Maine, Texas, North Carolina, Iowa, and maybe even Ohio, all states that he carried. And remember about that Texas seat that I told you about, where Trump won it by 17 points. A Democrat went in that same district and won by 14 points. The 2 state legislative seats down in Florida, down in Mar-a-Lago, in the district where the president lives, was won by a Democrat. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's the definition of insanity, just doing the same thing, primarying sitting Republican incumbents, putting in his guys, and then losing the Democrats. Just doesn't make sense. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Don't forget, Nick Ragone joins us. Have a little history lesson from the genius. On this date in What year do you think Gettysburg was, Mr. Burdick, between 1861 and 1865? I'm going to say
62?
No, I think it was deeper in the war. I'm going to say 63. Let's see who's right. Instagram, is that it? Oh, that's about the gas tax. You know, the gas tax went up today.
Yep.
Just a little hint. Oh, those are the freaks on top of the Empire State Building. I'll tell you when we come back. But we're going to talk about that with Mr. Ragone at the top of the hour. And the Lakers had a big signing, and the Boston Celtics lost a big part of its club as well. We'll get to that. And the Dodgers will sweep the Oakland A's tonight in their finale. And then it's off to San Diego to take on Manny Machado and that bunch. Get a day off tomorrow, and then Shohei Ohtani takes the bump on Friday. But in the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
If you've got kids right now, what happens every summer? Well, there's no summer jobs available. And so you end up having to spend a lot of money putting your kids into something that is going to keep them active. You can't do what we did when I was growing up. It just doesn't happen anymore. And that's been the death of summer jobs and really changed society in a very negative way.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. Are you looking for a doctor who truly listens, someone who cares about your health and respects your time with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations? Well, it may be time to learn about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA partners with most Medicare Advantage health plans, giving you access to a large, community-based network of outstanding physicians and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Local doctors, trusted hospitals, personalized care. Medicare Advantage plans offer benefits beyond original Medicare, but understanding your options for 2026 can feel overwhelming. That's where we can help. Call 661-554-4544 today to learn more about your Medicare Advantage choices. Our knowledgeable team is ready to help you understand your coverage options and make confident decisions about your care. Again, that's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs at meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head, and the total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.
Is this Colorado
congressional seat where a woman by, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I don't know where it's Malott, M-E-L-O-T, Kiddos, K-I-D-O-S. She's a Democratic socialist. And of course, they have to put the Democratic in front of it to kind of water down the fact that they are pure socialists. And that socialism has never worked in the history of mankind because, as Margaret Thatcher said, and again, I'm going to quote her, when you're giving out free stuff, eventually you run out of other people's money. And it's that idea that if you're 20 people in a class and everybody's getting A's, B's, C's, and D's, well, why don't we just spread out the wealth and everybody gets C's? And that way everybody passes. And nobody overextends themselves, and nobody fails, and everybody does okay. You know, take 10 points from the kid that's making an A, a 95, give him an 85, and give that 10 points to the kid that's getting a 65. So now he gets a 75, and take the 85 off the 10 points of the kid who's getting a B and 85, give that to the kid who's getting a 55. Now he's getting a 65. So even the worst kids are getting D's and C's, and the best kids are just getting B's and C's, and that's okay. No, that's not okay. That's insane. And that's essentially what socialism is. Take money from the rich. What are you, Robin Hood? All of a sudden? Doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's never worked. And while this thing is going to have a nice flash in the pan, they're going to be on a roll for a while. And I'm telling you, it's the greatest thing that happened to the Republican Party since Abe Lincoln. Because the Democratic Party is in disarray. Utter, say it with me, disarray. Because they have to, on a certain level, embrace these people. Because there's three things you can do when a political movement is going on. You can either get the hell out of the way and condemn it. They can't do that. How can they do that? It's too popular. And they're calling themselves democratic socialists. So they can't walk away from them. They can't really get ahead of it and be a part of it because some of the things that these wackos say and believe are insane. The biggest problem that they have is Israel. And there's no liberal Democrat with a brain, an IQ over 12 that's going to get on the bad side of the Israelis or Jews in America. So they can't really get involved, but at the same time, they can't stand on the sidelines. I mean, you should hear, go Google Malott kiddos and go videos. When Google comes up, don't hit news, hit videos, and just watch some of the interviews that these people have made and some of the comparisons they made to the Third Reich and getting rid of the police and getting rid of prisons. I mean, it's insane, but they're winning. So the Democrats can't walk away from them and they can't join them. And one of the big news stories that I didn't have on my rundown, but that Kamala Harris is apparently chit-chatting with Mamdani. Like, is that her avenue to the White House? Putting Mamdani on her ticket? Coming out and saying, I'm going to make a socialist vice president of the United States? It'd garner her a lot of attention. It'd probably get her a lot of young votes. Because remember who is supporting these socialists. It's your kids and grandchildren. It's white, young, affluent, educated white folks. Why? Because they realize they're not going to be as affluent as their parents. They're 22, 25, 27, 30 years old, and they're probably financially in debt if they got a loan, but if they're so affluent, they still can't get a great job, and they know they're not going to get into a house like the 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 3-car garage home that they grew up in. It's just not happening. These kids aren't coming out of college at 24, 25, 26, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And neither were their parents, but homes weren't $500,000 just for a 2-3 bedroom. Life has changed. And they are going to be among one of the few generations that are not going to over-succeed their parents. So the sound of free has got them all up in arms. Mamdani, baby, Mamdani. We're going to get free rent. We're going to get free transit. We're going to get free health care. We're going to get free child care. Mamdani, socialism. And then sooner or later, the free ride ends.
and you have absolute chaos. And that's what is about to happen. I can't wait to see. Do you know at one of these elections what they were chanting the night that one of the 3 New York socialists knocked out 3 Democratic incumbents? Do you know what they chanted at one of the events? Hakeem Jeffries, you're next. Hakeem Jeffries, you're next. Who just happens to be from New York and is the minority leader in the House and was suspected to be the next speaker if or when they flip the House in November. Maybe not, Hakeem. Maybe some socialist is going to come around and get elected speaker. Would that be crazy? Would that be crazy? AOC, Speaker of the House. I'm telling you, they're going to have a run here. They're going to have a nice little run. Because again, your kids, your grandkids, it's human nature. I'm not saying it's your fault, but that I shouldn't have put it your kids. This generation, light like a moth to a bulb, the idea of anything free. And that's what socialism is all about. It's all about giving away stuff. I'm making $85,000, $90,000, $100,000 in New York City, and I'm living on Long Island in a 1-bedroom apartment. And I got to take a commute into the city, and it's costing me a bit. And I still owe $40,000 on my college tuition, et cetera, et cetera. So go socialism, go. Anything free works. Until it doesn't. Quick time out. Nick Ragone is next.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
Ooh, a message.
Town Hall on Keith Peters in Washington.
Trump is not hurting the Republican
President
Party.
Trump visited North Dakota on Wednesday to see the newly built Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, a massive facility exploring the life of America's 26th president. In remarks, President Trump says Theodore Roosevelt was special.
Today we come to the heartland of America to pay tribute to a man who embodied the heart and soul and fight and spirit of our country as much as anyone who ever lived.
Trump says Theodore Roosevelt defied doctors who told him to take it easy due to health issues like asthma.
And he did just the opposite. He had a freaking wild life, right? He was wild. He just didn't want to take that. He didn't want to listen to his doctor. He didn't want to be quiet. He wanted to be great.
Trump described Roosevelt as the embodiment of the American spirit, praising his toughness as a leader and outdoorsman. Seabirds in California are being affected by rising world temperatures.
Scientists say a persistent marine heat wave has shrunk the band of cold, nutrient-rich surface water where krill, anchovies, and sardines thrive near the shore.
Warmer water drives fish away.
International Bird Rescue CEO J.D. Bergeron.
If birds hunt in that area, their fish are just not there.
Scientists are afraid that the die-off of birds could worsen with El Nino, the natural warming of parts of the Central Pacific that alters weather worldwide and spikes global temperatures formed in June.
We should be concerned. The environment is not the way it normally is.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down by 13 points, the Nasdaq dropping by 173, with the S&P 500 lower by 16 points, oil near $68 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
With things moving fast to resolve the situation in the Middle East, the headlines may change, but the fundamentals haven't. America's debt continues to climb, and uncertainty still hangs over the global economy. That's why investors continue turning to one asset that has stood the test of time: physical gold and silver. For generations, gold has been viewed as a safe haven asset during periods of geopolitical tension and market volatility. That's why Advantage Gold wants to send you a free gold investment guide valued at $49, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's acclaimed book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, when you call 800-900-8000. Discover why central banks are buying gold, why many Americans are diversifying with precious metals, and how a tax and penalty-free rollover into physical gold and silver may fit into your retirement strategy. strategy. Don't wait until the next crisis dominates the headlines. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000.
A murder case in Georgia involves the family.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
No discussion yet of why the shooting happened. I'm Chris Davis. No motive has been discussed publicly by Bakersfield police investigators who are looking into the shooting of a person who was riding a bicycle Tuesday afternoon on Forest Street near the intersection with H. The shooting happened about 5:45 p.m., and police say the person who was shot is still critical. That person has not been ID'd publicly, and police have not released any info about possible suspects. You may have been hearing a lot lately about the ICE detention facilities in Kern County. There are 4 here, with the one in Cal City being the largest. But Kern County Public Health Director Brent Carrigan, in a presentation to the Kern County supervisors at Tuesday's meeting, made it clear that his department has no authority to conduct health inspections at those facilities according to state law. He says there have been environmental health inspections, and all the facilities passed those. $4.5 billion of your tax dollars will fund all the county services and departments for the next fiscal year in the budget passed Tuesday by Kern County supervisors. But 59 vacant positions will not be filled and will be cut mostly from the Department of Human Services to help save some money. Supervisors say the county spending outweighs the money coming in, and that problem is only likely to get worse.
Show me the battle of Gettysburg.
Gas in California keeps inching its way downward. The average price for a gallon of regular is now $5.36, says Gas Buddy, and that is down more than a dime from this time last week. The national average is $3.79. The least expensive gas around here is $4.49 per gallon at stations in Wofford Heights and Kernville. Right now, it's at least 40 cents higher in Bakersfield proper, with the cheapest in the city at $4.89. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
To the rest of the in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's going to give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm going to make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday. We're not here Friday, so I'm all mixed up. First day of July. We still got lots to do in the final hour. We got a lot of sports things to talk about at the bottom of the hour. Jaylen Brown has left Boston. We'll tell you where he's headed. The Lakers did exactly what I said they needed and went out and got a rim protector in Walker Kessler. I'll tell you some stats about him. The Dodgers are going for a sweep against the Oakland A's tonight in that bandbox up in Sacramento. And then Shohei Ohtani takes the bump on Friday night against the dreaded San Diego Padres. Who is it true? Did they get beat today 23-2? That's what Randy was telling me, that the Cubs cracked them 23-2 or something like that. And I don't even think the game was over.
23-3.
23-3. Oh, my bad. 23-3. Meantime, this is an historic day in American history, July 1st. And I was right, Mr. Burdick. You said, what did you say, 62?
I did.
I said 63. It was 1863 when the Battle of Gettysburg began. It was the bloodiest war of the Civil War, which, of course, is the bloodiest war in American history. Just to give you some sense, on the wall in Washington, D.C., there are close to 60,000 men who died in Vietnam. In Gettysburg alone, from July 1st to July 3rd, some 50,000 combined casualties, just to give you some sense. And so, of course, we called on our good friend Nick Ragone. Why? Because, as I've been pitching to you every time I talk about him, he's written the book, Presidential Leadership, 15 Decisions That Changed America. And he deals with the Gettysburg Address. So we thought we'd
get him in here to talk about the Battle of Gettysburg and the Gettysburg Address. Mr. Ragone, how are you, sir?
I'm good. The chapter on my book is on the Emancipation Proclamation, but I have a long piece on that chapter about the Gettysburg Address and the relationship between the Emancipation and the Gettysburg. But no, I mean, you're sort of right. It's more about the Emancipation Proclamation because, when Lincoln first conceived of it in the summer of '62, the war was not going well, and he viewed it as like a tactical thing. Like, if I can emancipate the Southern slaves, it'll help in the war effort. It was a very tactical thing.
Right.
And the document itself, if anybody's ever read it, it's not prose. It's a very terse, kind of legally worded. It's not riveting prose. He officially signed it on January 1, 1863. And it came and went with nary a thud. It didn't really make any impact. It didn't move the abolitionists in the North, and it didn't rev them up because they viewed it as a very terse document. It had no kind of legal effect on the South, and it didn't change the arc of the war at all. And so that's why when he gets obviously there's the Battle of Gettysburg, and as you said, it's the bloodiest single 3 days in American history. And then he starts thinking about the Gettysburg Address in a different way, meaning like, okay, I have to finally make this war about more than just union or disunion. I have to make it about universal freedom and equality. Something, as you know, he assiduously avoided making the war about anything other than union or disunion because he had to hold together a very tenuous coalition.
Right.
But by Gettysburg, he's like, okay, this is not working, and we just suffered this bloody loss. They had win. They had the Battle of Vicksburg at the same time, and I write this in my book, and I think you know this story. I might have told it to your audience before, but I'll tell it again. The Gettysburg Address did not come to him in November of 1863. He actually floated some of those ideas in an impromptu rally outside the White House around July 6th of 1863. So we won at Gettysburg, won at Vicksburg. And back then, crowds would randomly kind of form outside the White House around big moments. And so a crowd gathered, and he decided to go out and address it. And he doesn't say 7 years ago, but he said something like, 87 years ago, our country was formed. And he goes into the idea that, like, in order to make a more perfect union, we need to win this war. And he kind of floats the themes of the Gettysburg Address, 5 months before he actually gave it. And if you read the speech that he gave outside the White House in the summer of 1863, the themes are there. He finally emotionally had come to grips with the idea that he was going to have to make the war about universal freedom and equality more than union or disunion, or else he couldn't pay homage to the brave soldiers who died at Gettysburg.
Yeah. Why was this such a pivotal battle?
Well, look, if the South wins, they go on to Philadelphia. The capital falls. They go on to Philadelphia. They have a good chance of cracking New York. I mean, it basically means they'll sue for peace. If the South wins at Gettysburg, it gives them a legitimate beachhead in the North. And it means that either it's going to be a protracted war, another 10 years, and people were losing, there was no stomach for that, or the North would have to finally, capitulate and sue for peace, which meant that there would be two countries. And there was already a faction, in the North with the Democratic Party that didn't want to go to war. So he was holding together a very, very, very tenuous coalition. And he realizes that he has to, if they lose at Gettysburg, we're looking at two countries. I mean, it's that important because it would have been hard for the North to go on for another 5 or 7 or 10 years, which it could have been.
Yeah.
And instead, the pressure would have been insurmountable. And if you remember, in 1863, in the summer of 1863, Lincoln is still highly unpopular. He got clobbered in the midterms in 1862. It was not at all predicted that he was going to get reelected in November of '64. George McClellan was running against him, and at that time, in the summer of 1863, McClellan looked like a pretty good candidate, and in fact, a lot of people thought he would win. And the Gettysburg win changed everything.
Yeah. How was McClellan such a player as a failed general?
McClellan was a terrible general, but he was a pretty good politician. He was an awful general, not tactically good. He was kind of I don't want to say a coward.
Yeah, that's how I read it.
Yeah, I mean, he was cowardly. He was not strategic. He didn't believe in the war. but he was a very good politician, and he knew how to blame others, and he knew how to, kind of maneuver himself. And he was a hero to Democrats in the North because he didn't want to prosecute the war. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to have those big clashes. He didn't want to see people die. And so he was a political animal. He was a very smart man and a political animal, and he kind of weaseled himself into this kind of national platform. And like I said, in the summer of 1863, June 1, 1863, if you kind of randomly polled, 1,000 Americans, not a lot of people were saying, yeah, it's a no-brainer that Lincoln's going to get reelected.
Yeah, that's incredible. And just unimaginable to think, had McClellan won, where this country would be right now. Be a whole different...
we'd be two countries.
Yeah, basically. Was the war truly about secession?
No, it was about, I mean, I'm of the school that it was absolutely about slavery. It was about a way of life. It was about, it was about states' rights on some level. It was about, preserving the Southern culture, but it was really about the idea that slavery propped up the Southern economy. And it did. There's no getting around that. The Southern economy was propped up by free labor. Free labor will do that. It tends to do that.
Yeah.
And so, I don't like when people try to glorify it and make it about, the 10th Amendment or states' rights or, this or that, or the Southern way of life. And a lot of that revisionism, it was about propping up the Southern economy through slavery. There's just no getting around it. The South would be, and it became a dramatically different place when you had to pay for labor. And it was the South back then was all about, it was an agrarian economy. So labor mattered. It wasn't particularly an industrial economy. And so it was about that. And there's no, it sort of annoys me when people try to gussy it up and, put a philosophical wrap around it and make it seem like it was more esoteric or, more about, kind of political machinations. It was about propping up the economy through slavery.
Absolutely. Talking with Nick Ragone, author, has written the book Presidential Leadership, 15 Decisions That Changed America, dealing with the Emancipation Proclamation and the Gettysburg Address. I don't know, anything that you want to discuss about the book and about Gettysburg and the address? How did it become a 270-word, as you put it, kind of non-starter at the time? How did it become such an immortal speech?
Well, two things. One is you have to remember he was not the primary speaker that day. The former Secretary of State, Edwin Everett, from Massachusetts, was. And so it's almost hard to believe. So let's go back. It's November, I think 22nd, 1863, and they're at Gettysburg, and the President of the United States, Abe Lincoln, is not. He's almost a footnote. He was almost an afterthought. There was this former Secretary of State was the prime speaker. He went on for 2 hours. He droned on and on and on. In a terrible speech if you read it. And Lincoln gets up there and he says, history will little remember what I'm about to say. And then he goes on and delivers, the greatest 272-word speech in American history. I would argue, Ralph, obviously the Constitution is our founding document, and the Declaration of Independence is kind of, our spirit. But I would say the Gettysburg Address is of equal importance to both those documents. And the reason why is, in his words, Lincoln, he would later say that it corrected the ailment, the failure of the Declaration. He said those 5 sacred words, all men are created equal, were hollow. And Gettysburg finally said, yeah, those words are hollow. They don't mean what they're supposed to mean. We don't really have a country that lived up to that. And he says it in the most beautiful prose. He talks about, that keeping this union together is more about union, or going to war is more about union and disunion. It's about universal freedom and equality. It's about correcting the failures of the Declaration of Independence, forming a more perfect union.
Yeah.
And that was the first time he had really, he really said that out loud. Like I said, he was so cautious because if you remember, he was not, he didn't want to do anything to instigate the border states,
right.
Kentucky and Missouri and the other border states. The Emancipation Proclamation, again, only applied to the South, not the North. It was a very legal document. It was very narrow. It wasn't moving. It wasn't inspiring. Like, he took all these little baby steps, and he realized it's not amounting to anything. We're losing war. We're losing the hearts and minds of the people. Abolitionists are losing interest in it. They don't think I'm strong enough. The Democrats feel fortified that this is going nowhere and that people are going to get sick of the bloodshed. And he sort of lets it all fly at Gettysburg. But I think that the power behind it is the brevity, right? And I'm a big believer that you don't need 1,000,000 words.
No.
In fact, the fewer words you can connote a big idea, the more powerful it becomes. And of course, he had a way of, prose is a mysterious thing, Ralph. If you look at Gettysburg or JFK's inaugural speech, or other great FDR's first inaugural, you have nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah.
The turn of the phrase or the word, there's something magical about it. You could say 7 years ago has a poetic artfulness to it. If you just said 87 years ago, it doesn't have the same impact. It means the same thing, right? It's the same thing. And so, I read the speech all the time, and it's just, to me, as a writer myself, there's just something magical about the way the words come together, fused with a really novel, big idea that we have to make this about universal freedom that catches lightning in a bottle. And like I said, I would argue, among the most, important documents in American history.
I agree. You ever watch The Presidents on C-SPAN?
Yeah.
They had John Meacham on, the famous historian, and asked him the very same question. And I thought, I'm sitting there waiting for him to break down the Gettysburg Address. And he says it's Lyndon Johnson's 65 speech trying to get the civil rights movement, civil rights legislation passed, where he ends with, "We shall overcome." And he talks about equality.
He did that in Atlanta. Johnson did to the state legislature, which back in Atlanta was notoriously racist. That's the state of his mentor, and he went there specifically.
Dick Russell.
And he went specifically to the belly of the beast, in the heart of his mentor's base, into the legislature, where they have that Confederate flag over the dome, and gives that speech. It is a great speech. I don't put it up there with Gettysburg, but it's LB. I have a chapter in my book on LBJ and civil rights, because it was such a it was him at his finest, and it was a personal thing between him and his mentor Russell, and who brought him to the Senate and got him into the majority leader and made him president, got him onto the vice president's ticket. And then it's Lyndon Johnson who puts the knife through his back and forms a coalition to get civil rights passed. And he gives this eloquent speech in his backyard. I think it's one of the most finest moments in American history.
I agree. And it just, I have misgivings about that period, because for me, it set Black folks on a path that apparently we can't come back from, and that is the absolute exclusivity to the Democratic Party. I have stated time and time again on this show, there's no other minority group on the planet, you tell me, Nick, no other group on the planet that you can look at their race and pretty much determine how they're going to vote. Nobody else does that but Black folks. And I've never understood it. Even Dr. King talked about going across the street and seeing what the other fellow was selling. He refused to endorse John Kennedy. Even though he voted for John Kennedy, he refused to endorse John Kennedy because he knew who he was by 1960. And he knew if he endorsed Kennedy, all Black folks would endorse Kennedy. Because again, back in 1960, Black folks were not 95% Democrat. They really weren't.
No, they were not. In fact, the Democratic Party in the 50s was the party of, segregation.
Yes.
I mean, it really was, LBJ, after civil rights, he goes, the Democrats have lost the South for a generation. He was actually wrong. They've lost it for multiple generations. So,
and he predicted that I'll have those Black folks voting Democrat till doomsday.
It was a calculus it was a political calculus. Now, look, I think in the last, in 24, the numbers moved a little bit, but you're right. It's, but look, we had a realignment in 64, really 65, where it flipped. If you look at in 64, the Lyndon Johnson flipped everything, and then by 68, I think George Wallace won for the deep South.
Yes, he did.
South State. Nixon then wins big. Nixon barely wins, and then he wins big re-election. And by 80, the Reagan coalition, it's the coalition we mostly see today. Now it's changed a little bit. Virginia's not purple. It's changed. It's changed, but the fundamentals are still there. Where the South now, North Carolina's more in play, Georgia's more in play, Wisconsin's more in play. It didn't used to be in play, Pennsylvania. So it's modified. But Lyndon Johnson knew with civil rights that he was going to change kind of the arc, the trajectory of American politics for multiple generations. And he was right.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this. We're talking with Nick Ragone. What's your take on this rise of democratic socialists?
I don't know. I don't like to get into current politics. It seems like the Democrats are going through what the Tea Party went through in 2010.
Yeah.
Even with Goldwater in 64. If you look back at 64, the Republican Party had a sort of this civil war, and it was Goldwater versus the liberal wing, Rockefeller, and Nixon wasn't in it, and Goldwater won out and he got trounced.
Yeah.
But the base wanted something different, and to me as a historian, it feels a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Especially when they lost a close one in 60. Democrats lost this time. And
and then they went hard right in 64, where extremism and the defense of liberty is no vice. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Okay, Barry.
And something's no virtue. Yeah, and whatever he said. Yeah, it's a great line. But
it is.
Anyway, it's sort of like the modern Republican Party was birthed after 64. So 68, Nixon wins, barely. And he only won because George Wallace took away 4 states from Humphrey.
Yep.
So and then he solidifies the coalition in 72, and then Reagan comes in and really creates a modern coalition. But that's really the modern Republican Party, and so I get the sense that they're going through their own version of this kind of civil war.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to talk history with you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I guess we'll talk in a week or two when we head to the Open.
Yep, it'll be fun, Ralph.
It will be fun. All right, man. Take care. Love you. Appreciate you.
All right, Pop.
Take care. Nick Ragone, historian, Champions Tour golf official, friend to every celebrity in the greater Philadelphia area. Just got off the golf course a week or so ago with Jason Kelsey. Just got back from Capri, Italy, and the Vatican. It's called Life by the Tail. Good. Google it. Quick timeout. And I'm headed to Philly in September, Jack. Don't think I'm not. That's why I'm thinking Vegas in August. Why? Why? Blow that money in beautiful Philadelphia. I love that city. I might go back to that bar where they make the bar like a strip club. Did I tell you about that? Where we were just on our way to the racetrack. We stopped in this bar. We've been there about 15 minutes, and all of a sudden the bartender goes, "Show's about to start, fellas." I'm like, what are you talking about? And they put planks on the inside of the bar, and these girls come walking out, and Philly's got some good-looking strippers, let me tell you. Time out. Coming right back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. We're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio.
Luigi's.
1230 KERN. First Look with Scott Cox. Morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will have burritos and talk mental health with our friend Dr. Corey Gonzalez. We got a lot of stuff, all the various safety warnings and the like for your 4th of July weekend. We'll talk about the future and NAFTA and all the news, traffic, and weather. You can shake a stick at. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
We are off on Friday, and guess where I'm having lunch? I'm going to Wiener Schnitzel. No, have you lost your mind? I'm going to Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen. Here's how I attack it. You got to start in the deli. Say hi to Lynette, Cookie, all the girls in there. Look at some of the merchandise. Maybe even have a glass of Prosecco, or maybe taste one of the Italian wines. As I've told you guys, there's no better sommelier than Lynette Valpredo, Caratan. Just saying. Then you sneak into the bar, have a quick pop with Julie as you're waiting to be seated. And this kind of temperature, I might go outside of the Bailey Bar and hang out. And on a Friday, I'm not sure what I'll have. Maybe the Monty Burger, but you got to start with the truffles, Sacchetti. And don't forget, the next time you see me at Luigi's, I'll be on the arm of Teresa Golder, who recently lost a bet to me, and we'll enjoy an afternoon at the best and most iconic restaurant in all of Kern County, Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey Show.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
On BritBox, there is a place where stories twist like cobblestone roads, grand manners hide secrets, and stakes are higher than seaside cliffs. Find places worth getting lost in on BritBox. Watch new series like The Other Bennett Sister from the world of Jane Austen and A Woman of Substance starring Golden Globe winner Brenda Blethyn. If you want to get away, you're in the right place. Stream the best of British TV on BritBox. Free trial at BritBox.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 9.
Talk to him. I get off the phone in a conversation and I go, you really call yourself a pseudo historian? When this guy reads the Gettysburg Address on the regular, like, I feel like I'm a kindergarten talking to a 12th grader. You know what I mean? He can name generals from the battles, and I know the big picture of the Gettysburg Address, but I don't read it. I could name generals. It's like a sixth grader talking to a senior in high school. Quick time out. Last half hour of the broadcast. Don't go anywhere.
With us on news, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A daredevil couple has been arrested after scaling the Empire State Building's antenna and unfurling a banner about the power of love and peace. It was apparently part of an audacious high-altitude marriage proposal. The Russian climbers go by Angela Nicolau and Ivan Birkus. The Trump administration has sued California and Virginia over new laws in both states that restrict the sale of semi-automatic firearms. The two separate lawsuits filed Tuesday by the Justice Department in federal court say the laws violate the Second Amendment. Virginia's Democratic Governor Abigail Spanberger signed legislation earlier this year banning the sale and manufacture of certain semi-automatic firearms. The California law prohibits gun shops from selling certain handguns that can easily be made automatic. This is SRN News.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. The person who was shot while riding their bike is still critical, say Bakersfield police. That shooting was on Forest Street near the intersection with H about 5:45 Tuesday afternoon. Bakersfield detectives have not openly discussed a motive and have not released any information about any possible suspects. You may have been hearing a lot lately about the ICE detention facilities in Kern County. There are 4 here, with the one in California City being the largest. But Kern County Public Health Director Brent Kerrigan, in a presentation to Kern County supervisors at Tuesday's meeting, made it clear that his department has no authority to conduct health inspections at those facilities, according to state law. He says there have been environmental health inspections and all the facilities passed those. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-585-2135. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-585-2135. That's 800-585-2135. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
A educational conversation between J.D. Vance and Bill Maher. This is the opportunity. This is the door that's been opened. You got 13 members now of the Democrat Party that's saying, hey, we like capitalism. And this is the opportunity for other Democrats that agree with Bill Maher that let's take our party back and let's get off this road to socialism.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
That'd be a cool nickname.
The Breeze?
Yeah. You're like a running back or wide receiver?
Yeah. If you're a running back, wide receiver, that's a great name.
They call me the Breeze.
Now, the last one you want to be that'd be the cornerback or safety. That'd be the last name you'd be called.
Yeah. The Breeze. That's a cool nickname. And we've been telling you all about this, our news guy. Oh, by the way, I have to correct our news guy. Let me go back and make sure I get this right. Our news guy is reporting that Kenneth Dobbins, the 68-year-old who allowed his dogs to go chase Francisco Torres Moreno into a lake. They went into the lake. The boy drowned. He didn't try to save the boy. He didn't call 911. He retrieved his dogs, and the dogs went and attacked another child who was bitten on her arm and her leg and tried to pull her hair out. Our news guy is reporting that Kenneth Dobbins, a 68-year-old out of California City, was charged with first-degree murder. That's not true. He was charged with second-degree murder, and it's a large difference. And we apologize for the error. But if you hear that on these airwaves, Mr. Dobbins was charged with second-degree murder, not first-degree murder. In the meantime, we've been telling about the story out of New York where this kooky, crazy, I can't wait. I want to hear the story. Like, what do these people do for a living? How did they meet? Are they spelunkers? How do you gain the knowledge to climb the Empire State Building? And how do you find a cohort who you just happen to be in love with who will do it with you? And I don't care who the instigator was. If she is the instigator, how does she find a man who'll be like, what's that, honey? You want to climb the Empire State Building? I'm assuming it was his idea since he proposed. I got something special that I want to ask you, but I want to do it on top of the Empire State Building. Okay. And how do they both have that ability? Like, what, they meet at a spelunking class? They rock climbers together or something? I don't understand. Meantime, here's our old friend, and this is a great guy, because JR, I bet, remembers him. He was a radio star for ABC, and we used him all the time. We used his packages, and I think we'd even have him on as a guest. And, he's got kind of a face for radio, but I think TV is moving away from that. We've certainly seen that locally, by price. But he's a great reporter. Here is Aaron Katursky.
We don't know the intention of these people. But if these people can get up to where they are, that raises a host of security questions. And they've seemingly done it, Kira, without any carabiner or belay ropes. this, oh dear God, this guy is getting down on a knee, perhaps proposing to this individual.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Aaron, I think that's exactly what could be happening. I wish WABC would just move a little bit more around so we could see what he's doing down on his knee. This is
Well, I would
crazy.
imagine if it's a proposal, it's an elaborate one, and I hope she said yes. But it is undoubtedly going to end in their arrest.
Aaron, I hope this is not
Yes.
Taylor. I hope this is not Taylor and Travis. But then again, he already proposed. Never mind. But they're clearly trying to overshadow a big weekend. Okay, they're hugging. I think he just proposed.
So it would seem, an elaborate proposal preceded by the unfurling of a banner about peace and love at the top of the Empire State Building in the heart of Midtown Manhattan on one of the hottest days of the year. The two embracing, climbing without ropes, without carabiners, without any kind of harness, it would seem, for this elaborate proposal.
I love how he put that. Proposal? And they planted a flag atop of the Empire State Building that read, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace."
That's a nice little statement.
These people are either like uber geniuses. That's my guess. Because I don't think a psycho crazy person could climb the Empire State Building.
No.
I think you have to be a geometric genius
and think of it this
to
way.
scale this thing without a rope.
Myself and Jay Reed both came to this conclusion as well. These two are going to go viral. For
Oh,
this.
absolutely.
The money they're going to make for this is going to be nuts.
It's going to be ridiculous.
They're going to pay for the whole wedding and all of their legal battles.
They could write a book.
Oh, easy.
They'll go on the media tour. You don't think Jimmy Kimmel wants to talk to these two?
Oh, absolutely.
You don't think Fox will have them on? You don't think CNN will have shoot. The first thing I would do if I were what's the first thing you do getting out of jail?
Press conference.
Agent.
Oh, true.
Get me an agent.
Yeah, get you an agent.
Get me an agent and book me everywhere. Book us everywhere as a couple. We'll do Andy Cohen. We'll do the Today Show. We'll do Good Morning America. They will be all over television next week. Although it'll be a tough call for some news directors because you are kind of like enabling criminals.
In a way.
And Aaron Gatursky had a great point. You know, people love the copycat. And if there's a way now, clearly, that you can climb the Empire State, and I mean the very tip top. They are on the antenna. If you have not seen this, wait till you get home and see the video. It is crazy.
14,000 feet high.
14,000 feet above the ground. And they're hanging around like, and I mean, when you see them, she's wearing like, I mean, that is just frightening. Look at, I got to show it to them.
And again, if you haven't seen this yet, they're standing up there stoically, looking like superheroes. Like it's an incredible sight. And
you see that? Look at that.
That's so cool.
That is freaking crazy.
I hate saying it's cool just because you're right, it is technically illegal, but like,
if you've got the chutzpah,
that's what I'm thinking, man. And then my only thing though, when it comes to Katursky, why was it a oh god or oh dear God moment when he dropped to a knee to propose to the girl?
Well, because he's thinking they're going to make some kind of political statement, free the Palestinians, go Gaza, pro-Iran, and he's thinking to himself, are you kidding me? They went up there to propose? Oh, dear God. You're right. That's not very journalistic.
No, it's like, oh, dear God. That's the words he chose? Like,
not very journalistic, but that's insane. That is just, and he's right. It's hot.
Yes.
So, and it's
incredibly dangerous.
No, it's, what's the word? Perspiring. It's humid. It's humid as hell. So, you know, it looks like they had on gloves at least.
Yeah. These were trained professionals for sure. Like you, I want to know their story and what's going on with this and how they got together and all of that. But what was the original idea? Because I doubt the guy told the girl, "We're gonna go do this, and I would propose to you right underneath the flag." I don't know.
And they're both dressed kind of like Batman.
I noticed
like
that too.
Either cat ears or Batman. I can't tell which.
That's what I was saying. When they're up there, like hanging off with the flag, looking all stoic and stuff, I'm like, okay, someone wanted a superhero moment, but it looks cool.
Oh my God! And he's like leaning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's leaning away, like looking like Batman, looking over the city. Like
that is just freaky. That is just so freaky. Just one little slip, and you are the biggest news story in a year.
That's what JR said too. Is like, is it wrong that I kind of was watching just to see if that would happen? I was like, I don't want to see that happen, but it was in the back of my mind.
Why do you think people go to NASCAR?
Yeah.
Why do you think people go to fights?
Yeah.
They're not looking for a 15-round decision, Jack.
They want a knockout.
They want to see somebody's feet parallel with the ceiling. You kidding me? It's human nature. I can't watch stuff like that because I've tapped into a Reels deal where they show you stuff that you can't see.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And I literally can't watch it. Like there's one where a guy, you remember the famous story a couple of months ago, the guy that was rock climbing and he fell. It comes up and I know exactly what it is and I flip it. I can't watch it. Where you see his body tumble into the canyon, and they're just some god awful ones. The one that I did watch, because I'm obsessed with air travel, is the one where the guy barricades himself in the cockpit and takes it into a mountain. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen that.
And they're banging on the door.
Yeah, begging him not to do it.
And he's just sitting, and it's just plummeting. It's just slowly plummeting, and then it just goes. And you see the mountain coming, and then it just goes black. And it's just like, why do suicide people have to take other people with them?
I've always wondered.
I have never understood that.
Like, don't ruin other people's lives because you have a feeling.
Yes, I wrote a story about that in the Sentinel. I think it was it Donnie Moore? Or did Donnie Moore just kill himself? I did a story. Look up Donnie Moore. Didn't he get on a plane and shoot the pilots? I thought I wrote a story about that when I was like your age or younger.
No, he shot himself in his Anaheim home.
Okay, that was another story then. Donnie Moore, by the way, is the pitcher that gave up. The Angels were on their way to their very first World Series. Gene Mauch was still alive and was the manager. Gene Autry was still alive, the coach of the owner of the Angels and the very famous cowboy, singing cowboy for the old people. And they were 1 out away. In fact, Reggie Jackson was standing next to Gene Mauch because he wanted to hug him when they got out. And Donnie Moore gave up a 2-run home run to Dave Henderson, and that absolutely changed everything. All right, what's going on?
1-0 USA over Bosnia.
In what period?
I believe it's the first half still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. We just hit stoppage time, but still good start. 1-0 over the Bosnians.
Why is it that I could not possibly care less?
Because it's soccer.
But I played soccer.
I know, but again, it's not. If it's not something you follow, then
I can't. I don't know why. It's just so slow.
I just look at this like the Olympics.
Yeah.
Just cheer for America.
Did you see the guy at the Dodger game last night?
Yes. So, now, besides that, because that guy was hilarious, I won't lie, although it was super dumb. I can't believe he did that right in front of everybody.
Hang on. Let me tell the story. So there's a guy in the front row behind the Dodger catcher and, the front row seats. He's wearing the green Mexico shirt. And I guess he's watching the Mexico thing, and they score. And right in the middle of the game's going on, and he just stands up, Mexico, go, 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 go. Everybody around is just laughing. It's just, go, 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 Mexico, Mexico, go, go, go. And then finally somebody walks by. It's like, okay, fella. He's like,
good for you.
Yeah. Finally, it's like, okay, that's enough. But I had my chance.
No, what I thought was cool. Did you see the video of the streets of Mexico City after they won?
I can only imagine.
As Mexico has been on a long drought within the World Cup where they have not been able to get to a fifth game, ergo to the round of 16, to the second round of the elimination round. This is the first time I've ever done it. I'll show you a video later. It was insane.
I bet. I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine. But in the meantime, we must take our final break of the day. Wrap this thing up. Tomorrow is a Thursday. Mr. Turnipseed will be live in studio along with our good friend Daniel Petrie from S-Maker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. We'll preview the Dodger Padres series. It starts on Friday. Shohei Ohtani takes the bump for the Dodgers Friday night. But in the meantime, keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. And we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will have burritos and talk mental health with our friend Dr. Corey Gonzalez. We got a lot of stuff, all the various safety warnings and the like for your.
Whenever you're ready.
How am I going to take this home? Huh? I'm walking to Coconut Joe's. Take it home tomorrow, yeah. Yeah. Seems too heavy, though. All right, what the Sam Hill did we do today? Three, two. Did you guys see that David Torres got a plea bargain for CSUB coach Kevin Mays? He's only going to do 4 years as a man that was caught with child porn and pimping and drug possession with a weapon, which goes to show you how Carmelo Anthony's parents did him wrong. That was a slam dunk case. All they had to do was plead out, get 4 or 5 years. He'd have been out in 2, but instead they wanted the money from the trial. And now their kid is going to spend 17 years in prison. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. Well, it's a Friday really for us, but Mr. Turnipseed will be here from the Current Tax Association. Of course, our money man, Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. All of that, plus me at 3. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1230. I'll see you at 3.
And their emotional well-being at soundidouttogether.org. That's soundidouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Are you an adult with uncontrolled moderate to severe Crohn's disease symptoms and still packing a backup bag of clothes just in case? Skyrizi Risankizumab Risa can help you take control of your Crohn's. Feel significant symptom relief, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements at 4 weeks. Plus, Skyrizi is proven to help people achieve remission and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Individual results may vary. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's. Ready to take control of your Crohn's? Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease.
Control is everything to me.
Learn more at skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Once you get started.
My favorite part. Oh, I missed it. One more time. Lionel Richie! 842-537-6842 KERN. Just need to do a little exercise every now and again. Just in case you thought I was alone in criticizing the district attorney's office, not criticizing David Torres. He's a defense attorney. That's what he's paid to do, and he's paid quite well to get ridiculous sentences for hardened criminals. But shame on the district attorney's office, as I said. Well, Des Perkins has joined. She's on Facebook. I'm sure most of you know Des Perkins. She is a human trafficking survivor who's made a career out of trying to end human trafficking, and she's done an incredible job. She went to Sacramento to help Shannon Grove get new legislation across the goal line. She's been a mentor to kids at the school that she works at, and just a mentor. She's even gone to Africa to start working with other children. It's just been incredible what this woman has done. And she writes on Facebook, please stand by. It's so crazy. God dang it. It's so crazy how in California, these, quote, traffickers and buyers, alluding to Kevin Mays, the CSUB former assistant coach, continue to get slaps on the wrist after the trauma they inflict on children, adults. 4 years in prison is a joke. Yes, it is. Thank God for the lifetime sex offender registration, but he should have definitely got more time. I sure wish all those that were arrested in January or February would have got some time. Child predators live among us here in Bakersfield. Ain't that the truth? Can you imagine that our top cop, our prosecutor, were good? They were good with giving a man who essentially kidnapped a woman and became her pimp, made money on her having sex in slavery. There's no other way to put it. We can put nice little cute names like human trafficking. It's slavery, is what it is. And it is incredibly growing. It is becoming a really popular crime amongst these sick individuals like Kevin Mays. And child porn, it's not just bad enough that he's human trafficking people, and many times, as you well know, I'm being the master of the obvious, but it comes hand in hand. If you're sick enough to human traffic somebody, you're probably involved in kiddie porn as well. And you're telling me that I can go out right now and human traffic some woman, keep her locked up in my second bedroom of my apartment for years, and pimp her out to other men while I'm sitting at home on my computer looking at kiddie porn. And I'm going to get 4 years in prison, meaning that I'm going to do what? 2.5, maybe 3? Let's remember this when people are running for re-election. Let's remember this. Cynthia Zimmer had no issue with Zach Scrivener. Forget about that if you're angry about that. She really didn't. But what followed that, her sister telling her grandkids not to testify, she not coming out and talking to the media, blah, 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 blah. And there are other issues that I'm not even going to get into that I'm sure you're well aware of that I thought were vengeful acts by our top cop. But this kind of nonsense, the continuing plea bargain, so we don't have to go to trial, and we'll just slap the wrist of a guy who is a heinous criminal, who is in the subject of criminality, which has the greatest recidivism
of any other crime on the books. Meaning, what am I trying to say? Kevin Mays will commit crime again. You can count on it. Statistics tell us this. They have like a 72% recidivism rate. And our top cop went after him, boy. They gave him 4 years. Torres came in with a deal, sat it on the table, and the DA's office said, you bet. We don't have to go to trial now. You betcha. Let him out in 2 or 3 years. All he did was traffic a human being and get into kiddie porn. Sure, let him start all over again in about 2.5, 36 months. Good googly moogly. Just don't make no sense. And I just hope this community will remember this when people run for re-election, because for those of you that think she's not running, thinks of the Zach Scrivener thing, she runs in a circle of people that cheer her on, and she has no clue. She's completely tone deaf to how this community feels about her and her family right now. So she's running. Believe me, she's running. Is she going to win? Hell no. But she's running. And I just hope you all remember this. 4 years for human trafficking and kiddie porn. Nicely done, Mr. Torres. Once again, a local defense attorney has outdueled our district attorney's office. Good googly moogly. I got to get out of here. Want to thank Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, and my dear friend Nick Ragone. Tomorrow, it's Mr. Turnipseed and Mr. Petrie's turn, and then we're out of here. We are dark on Friday. Hope you enjoy the 4th of July weekend. But in the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. And that's what's really going on. Wrapped here tomorrow.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
Town Hall, live Keith Peters in Washington. Several children are rescued from deplorable conditions in Ohio.
Authorities say 16 children from the same family who were rescued from a rundown home in rural Ohio were living in horrific conditions and confined to just one room over much of the past 4 years. Benton County Prosecutor William Archer says the case is not a human trafficking case.
This is clearly involved a multi-generational family in a very limited situation.
Investigators say some of the children discovered were unable to speak. The children's parents and 2 grandparents are now charged with felony child endangerment. Sound courtesy WSYX. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
House conservatives derailed the GOP agenda in a Save America Act showdown on Capitol Hill Tuesday. This comes as President Trump urged the group to stop grandstanding.
More than a dozen conservatives in the House continued their blockade in protest of the stalled Save America Act in the Senate. Lawmakers voting 198 to 224 against advancing a bunch of legislative items, including a must-pass defense bill that will be paired with the Save America Act. 14 Republicans voting no. Among the holdouts, Florida's Anna Paulina Luna, Chip Roy from Texas, Thomas Massey from Kentucky, and Lauren Boebert of Colorado. House Speaker Mike Johnson calling the hardball tactics